Mags,
Okay, I think we're up. Yep, I can hear myself. All right.
Mags, I get alerts every morning that you're streaming on Twitch, and then I wake up and I swipe open, and then by the time I swipe open, you're gone. What am I missing?
I'm sorry, who are you talking to?
Talking to Mags, but she froze out of. Did you say out of embarrassment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Unfreeze.
Great frame to freeze on.
My, like, I picture us.
Mags.
There she is.
Hi, Mags.
Mags, are you there?
Hey, I'm back. Just my... Hang on. My phone's trying to connect and stuff. No, all good, I got it. Because she's trying to connect to a personal hotspot instead of through a cable. It's still kind of a new setup for her. But no, you should have, if you were in East Coast, you would have catch us. But yeah, it's not every day because I only stream twice a week. And yeah, if I stream, I don't have.
Uh-oh.
We're losing you.
It's like we were good until we started, right? Like I felt like we were. Yeah.
Good thing we do a pre-show to get all this stuff.
Yeah,
all the kinks worked out. Roland, you're not streaming anything. Well, you're doing another podcast, right?
Yeah, I do. We actually took a break. We haven't done anything in the past 2 weeks.
What are those again, though?
Huh?
What are those? I know you and your friends are telling stories from high school. That was one of them.
Yeah, basically what it is like, what if we did oh, Mags.
I'm back.
We saw Blink.
I'm back. Cool. Sorry
By
about
the way,
that.
guys, we are live on Twitch.
I know.
YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter today. Making
and
progress.
Twitter? Look at that.
We're live on Twitter.
We
the Twitter machine.
Out.
We're all over the world. We're in several places at once. Not just physically, but digitally.
Mentally, too.
Mentally, yeah, totally checked out. Not here at all.
But in summary, the
Overrated.
podcast is just like talking to people you would never talk to, if that makes sense. I don't know. We
expand on that if you would.
Yeah. This is a terrible summary. We reach out to random people. You know, a lot of times we know them, but sometimes we'll talk to people that we've met just like right before we started filming, you know, type deal, and we just try to reel stories. Yeah, we try to reel stories out of them, trying to see like, you know, what they do. Do they have any anecdotes? We try to make it fun, and it's like a dumb little comedy podcast.
I like that.
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's called Dale's a Crowd.
Dale's a Crowd.
Yeah, there's this NASCAR legend guy named Dale.
Oh, you mean wait,
Dale
the original or junior?
The senior.
Okay.
The senior. So just Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah. R.I.P. Well, there's
also a band
talking about this. I'm so sorry, Max. I wanted to talk.
Go ahead. I'm fascinated.
So basically, I think in high school, I was friends with this guy named Nate, who would always say, raise hell, praise Dale. We didn't know what it meant, but it was so funny to us for some reason. And then he's like, I don't know, like right before I do something, I just say that. And then I just let the spirit of Dale guide me. And he would always like win cards. That's why we say that. He would always win cards and say that. But we would go to places like I've been to like concerts and bars and stuff like that, and people will say it. It's like a whole thing. Raise hell, praise Dale.
Oh.
And
we had what would Darren do?
Darren?
Who's Darren?
What would Darren do?
Who's
like,
Darren?
It's a similar thing, like this guy that was the luckiest person in the world. But we also say, what would Darren do? To the point that like that group of people started getting tattoos. WWD. What would Darren do? Sorry, DD. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's so cool. So what was yours? What was the saying you guys had?
We would say, raise hell, praise Dale. And Dale's number was 3. So that's another thing we do. You're not allowed to say the number between 2 and 4. You're not allowed to say 3. And if you do, you have to either take a drink or you get like slapped, or there's something weird. But
this is on the podcast, not just everyday life, right?
I mean,
it moved on to
it leaks out every once in a while.
Recording in progress.
But yeah, I don't know, it's just fun. And 3 comes up in conversation so much, so it's like a little bit of an edge to the conversation. That makes sense.
It's a magic number.
Yeah. So yeah.
I could never get a tattoo of something like that. Actually, I could never. I don't know. I'm not a tattoo guy. Are you tattoo people?
I would love to be, but I've tried to make, for the past 4 years, I think I've tried to make maybe like 4 or 5 different types of tattoo appointments, and they failed every single time.
Sign.
What are you looking to get?
I had this cool idea that I wanted to do. It was like kind of like right here, and it was a full moon, and like the shading of the moon was like trees, and it kind of like leaked down, and it was like creepy and cool. And I saw it online, and I put like my little twist to it.
Yeah.
And I even like sat down with the guy. We talked about it, had an appointment ready, and then on the day he got sick.
Oof.
And I was like, okay, I'm so sorry.
To.
Yeah, get better type of stuff. And I think I tried to text him like in the next week, and I think the week after that, I was like, hey, when can we reschedule? And I just never heard back.
That sucks.
Yeah.
It's a sign. You're not meant to get it.
I mean, Max, how many people do you know that have the WWDD tattoo?
3.
Are you serious?
3 people.
Yeah, so there was a whole thing. Bless Darren's still alive, but Darren's been born with like he's a guy like our age, but he was born with a huge lung, stuff. So imagine being told when you're a toddler that you're going to die like anytime, and the guy's like now in his 30s, but he lived so yeah, I should have probably given the story, but everything he's ever done was very much like, I'm about to die. Fuck it.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we never clarified this. Can we swear on our podcast?
Dan?
I guess sometimes. Just don't make a habit of it.
So frig it.
We need to hire a bleeper.
Yeah.
We don't have.
We don't have
I think
the
it's more of
budget for a bleeper.
consideration, but.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind then. Sorry.
Go ahead. So by all means, swear.
Knowing that you're about to die, I think, you would get something like this. So it was kind of like a thing as to say goodbye to Darren. But Darren is happily married. He doesn't have children, but he has, him and my friend from school, they got together, and he's, in his early 30s. He's still alive. And doctors are like, how the hell are you going to do it? And, he takes a lot of pills and stuff, but he's doing great.
That's incredible.
Wow.
It makes you think we should tell everybody, because it's true. You're all gonna die.
Exactly.
I tell my grandmother that all the time.
Well, I mean, just because like that's the truth. So many people have a hard time being like, this is my life. I'm living day to day, and like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And I was listening to that story. I was thinking like, what if the doctors just told him that? And he's just had a great life. It's an incredible prank and a horrible thing to do. But at the same time, if he's doing it, if he's inspiring tattoos, if he's really fulfilling, living life to the fullest and making the most of every moment. That's inspiring.
It really is. That's why, no wonders that we would do it. But I think it does stick to you, because in those difficult moments, I do still go back to Darren and think, just imagine not like thinking that you might die any minute. Just of course, like do it. Why do you even doubt it? Why you considering not taking that gig? Of course, take it. You might not have it tomorrow. And it's really refreshing. And so maybe don't get what would Darren do, but
I don't know Darren, but I do like the
Dale.
sentiment. Dale.
I like the Dale.
Yeah.
Just Dale on your forehead or something. I don't know.
I know. Actually, I have a friend that it's kind of a Dale tattoo, but he has like an ace and a 3 on his shoulder.
Take a shot.
You're right.
So you never checked out the my stream?
I keep missing it. I wait.
Damn.
It's like it shows up, at 6 or 7 a.m. here, and I look at my phone, turn over in bed, and I go, she's not. And I try to find it, and it's like, yeah, you missed it. It's like, why'd you send me the notification?
I don't know how that works.
Doesn't my phone know I'm sleeping?
But yeah, I turned off notification from for Twitch. Yeah, it's weird sometimes. So I chat, or I stream myself working. So yesterday I streamed me and my partner working on our project whilst everyone else was there. Sometimes I have long discussions about relationships, love, and sex. Then chat gets weird.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. There is just some people that I completely understand it, because you can't always talk about, so it's not like when you go to a pub, you start talking to your best friend about relationship or sex. So I think a lot of people just find it very liberating to be able to talk about it, and for me to listen and give them my view on it or experience on it. And
I want to start commenting. I'm going to wake up early and I'm going to go, Mags.
No, there's nothing like, that's the thing. There's very PG stuff, and we're not going into details. It's more a relationship. For example, we had a guy who turned up and he was like, yeah, I'm going out with this girl who's going through my phone, and I'm scared of leaving her because she has a kid and she's like super toxic. And I don't know, the chat and me, we all like try to give him advice on how to do it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's very draining. I'm not gonna lie to you. After 3 hours of chatting, you
stay on for 3 hours?
At least you have to. Come on.
Oh my gosh.
It's fun. It's just like another thing. But I tend to just do work and chat when I want to. So I do co-working with people. So just people like to work with other people, essentially. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's not bad.
I do want to catch it one of these days, because I get the notifications and I feel like I'm missing out.
It's fine. It's like, it's nothing special. Like on my I actually had an idea, what am I going to do for my birthday? So I'm going to run for 1 hour on the treadmill with my partner, just to kind of prove myself that I've reached that level of fitness, essentially.
How fast? What's the rate you set?
Like I do 6.5, 7.
That's a good place. That's a good pace.
Like I jog quickly and stuff, but I've been always doing this for like 15-20 minutes. But I thought I'm gonna do a special thing for my birthday and just run for an hour.
I went on a run for the first time in years on Thursday, because I had some time and the weather was nice. It's starting to get really hot over here, but I used to run in high school. I was like on the cross country team, and like we'd run 8 to 12 miles just for practice. And I was like, it's easy to do when you're like 15, but close to 15 years later, I'm like, I don't know if I'm a runner. It was I got through it, but I'm still feeling it. I can catch my drift.
Do you guys do any like biking?
I don't have a bike.
I was gonna ask. Do you do anything, Ron?
You do anything?
Not really.
Do you do anything with your body?
Mainly just snack, but I went biking because my girlfriend's really into fitness, and she was like, it's my birthday. And I was like, I guess if you're gonna pull that card, I guess we go biking. And it was terrible. I almost threw up. Like I genuinely almost threw up. And
wow.
I legitimately, I pushed myself every race.
Damn.
Yeah.
And I threw up almost every race.
Yeah.
At the finish line.
That's when when you do something good, when you feel like puking, that means I've exercised. I don't leave the gym until I feel like that.
Yeah. I also ate an entire pizza like right before.
Bad move.
I think I like finished it like maybe like 2 or 3. It had like croissant crusts. I was like, this looks delicious. I'm gonna eat it. I ate it.
How does that work? Wait,
I don't blame you.
stop.
I don't blame you, but what a
Croissant.
horrible thing to do before a bike ride.
I was like, this looks good. I'm gonna treat myself, and then
Wait, how does it work? Croissant crust? You mean like a calzone?
No, it was like this weird frozen pizza that I was like shopping and I saw it and I was like, I gotta try this.
This is a lot of red flags.
It's like it's a pizza. It's like this beautiful flaky crust that's going on. Oh, it's so good. It's terrible, but it's
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was bad. I think I like maybe biked for maybe 2 minutes, and we were going up this like steep hill, and I haven't been biking at least like a year and a half or something like that. And I'm just going. Yeah, it was bad. We had to stop many a times.
On my team, we never actually did this, but there were all these like urban legends about different hazing hazing things that cross-country teams did, and one of them was a scream and run, which is where you're supposed to like scream and run, and whoever gets the farthest screaming and running wins that, and you can't stop. So if you stop screaming, you have to stop running. If you stop running, you have to stop screaming. But so there's that. But the other one was a milk run, where they made everybody chug a gallon of milk and then run a few miles, guaranteeing that you would barf.
Damn.
Anyway, this isn't necessarily what I had in mind for the pre-show, but I'm glad we got there. Are you guys watching anything good? Any shows? Anything?
I watched The Exorcist.
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight, yeah.
Moon Knight.
But
yeah.
No, I did watch Peaky Blinders, and I've been meaning to do the
new season,
the
right?
review. But I honestly, so my partner's watching it now, like literally right now he's watching the final episode, and so I was rewatching some episodes with him, and I keep changing my mind about it, like how I really feel about it as well, and it's quite difficult season. I'm still yet to do the review, and I know Dan's probably like, where is the review? But
Wait, I'm sorry.
I'm on it.
What are we talking about?
He's your 1940s.
Like, you talking about me?
He's like your 1940s newspaper boss. You got deadlines, Mags. We need to meet them.
Exactly. No,
people have to know.
That's a very accurate description.
Yeah, I know Dan. He's always he's constantly wearing the fedora. He's got the mustache. He's like, Frankel, where's the story? And that's every week. I'm trying my hardest.
And yet somehow you keep falling short.
Rolan?
I'm just joking.
What about you? Are you guys watching anything? Can you recommend something like a pearl that you'd found? And there's nothing.
I watched The Exorcist. I don't know if that's groundbreaking.
Yeah,
well, it was ground. What I'm saying is like
it was
nothing new. I don't know. I'm kind of like lame in my watching because
so lame.
I usually just go down like rabbit holes on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm really into like restoration videos. I don't know if I've talked about this.
No.
So relaxing.
Restoring what?
What's that?
Anything. I don't know if you guys have trouble like falling asleep, but I recommend. It's basically they get like these like just disgusting, rusty, just like messed up like antiques. So it could be like a knife, or it could be this like weird antique like piggy bank or but it's like not a piggy bank. It's like this weird like little, I don't know. It's crazy and it's so fun and so relaxing. They just like.
Is there a particular channel you want to plug and say that helps you fall asleep? Because I could use stuff like that, especially if there aren't a bunch of YouTube ads that interrupt.
There are some really good ones. There was one that's like, I feel so bad because I don't remember his.
Do you restore stuff yourself?
No. Cool. I just I'm a fan.
Would you
I find them really relaxing. These things take a lot of equipment. Yeah. So it's really cool to see, how they're able to take off these rusts, because there's like different techniques. Like some people will sandblast them,
right?
Where they put them in this tank and they just blast them with sand, or they'll put them in like different types of oils and they'll do like electric shock and leave it there for 24 hours.
Electric shock to get rust off?
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Awesome restorations.
It sounds cool.
Yeah, it's so relaxing.
I would like that.
Yeah, I very recommend. I get excited just thinking about it because there's no, a lot of times there's no like music. You're just kind of hearing the machines at like a very low volume.
Yeah.
And I used to listen to those machines all the time as a kid because I had family that worked in this and that. So it's just like, it's nice and relaxing to me. And you see this beautiful work of art by the end.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
I have to check that out.
Yeah.
Because I fall asleep to Paranormal Mysteries. It's a podcast. And
do you guys need to have something in the background in order to sleep?
I do.
Really?
I do.
I like to watch them like before I get ready for bed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I find it helps me fall asleep to have stuff that's not going on in my own head going on, because it distracts me, and then it, like, the rest of my body's like, oh, okay. Like my body goes, oh, his brain's distracted, sleep. And I go, okay. Yeah. So there's definitely some dissonance in my existence, but it's nice to have some background noise that's just sort of monotonous and a little hypnotic.
Mag,
in the traditional
normal sense. Do you have like a normal?
I'm not. I couldn't sleep without earplugs, and I had to have this complete silence in the house. But right now it's almost weird. So it depends on the night. Sometimes I like to sleep with some music in the background, but now oh my goodness, we're suffering from mosquitoes. So if you ever visit Malta, whether it's winter, summer, or all year round, there's a lot of mosquitoes. But especially right now in summertime, like last night alone, we had like 7 mosquitoes. We were chasing them this morning.
No, that's the worst. Get right near your ear.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so terrifying when you wake up to it.
You end up slapping yourself.
Yeah, and like we have mosquito spray repellent, so normal people would just go like, well, like the stage where me and partner got to, it's like literally making sure you cover every inch of your body.
Yeah,
but still, like I'm so bitten like everywhere. So yeah, now I'm sleeping to mosquito sound.
Mosquito sounds.
Yeah.
That's horrible. That's literally, I can't imagine anything worse. That sounds.
But then we actually have bird's nest in our ventilation. So every morning, I mean, not even every morning, all the time you hear like.
There's birds chirping in the vents.
Yeah. I think she had little ones, and now we have little ones, and it's so cute. It's the most adorable thing ever. I'll record it for you guys.
Please.
So
That
maybe
actually.
I'll start.
That's okay to wake up
Hey
to.
Magdalena like this.
Please. Yeah.
Just yeah.
Have you thought about other things you want to do for Hey Magdalena?
Well, the Apfelstrudel, so the Handland one, the one that like he's the same one he loves his cream, and the other things I actually haven't considered, because I could do other things, but then my kitchen equipment is quite restricted, so it's quite hard, and it's hard to do when you don't eat meat. So that's actually an interesting thing to consider. But a lot of films with iconic eating scenes or food scenes, they do include meat, some sort of meaty dish. So it's quite hard to choose something. Yeah. Roland, what's happening to you? You're just like,
oh. We were talking about things, and somehow my mind went to, hey, maybe you have diabetes. So I'm looking at diabetes.
Let me. That happens.
Yeah.
Someone quite close to me diagnosed herself with type 1 diabetes at a late age.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Damn.
And yeah, it happens. Are you peeing a lot?
So much. I was thinking, like,
are you drinking a lot of caffeine?
I mean, I had a cup of coffee earlier.
Because sometimes that's all it is. Are you having trouble seeing?
Is
your vision fluctuating?
I think I'm like I think that was, I was reading that and I was like, I think I do. And then I was like, nope, that's placebo. You're fine.
Yeah, it's Dr. Google's a bad doctor.
I know.
Are we diagnosing Rolan on the live stream right now? That's
I'm not a doctor.
here.
Let me be clear, not a doctor.
Not a doctor.
No, not a doctor.
Not a
Wait,
doctor.
what is that production company that does that?
Daniel Tosh, that's his
Isn't that
Twitter
like Brooklyn
bio.
Nine-Nine? Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a
Wait, I
doctor.
think you're right. I think it is. Hold on. Not a-
By the way, speaking of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I just ran across a story the other day that Terry Crews, it was an Instagram that I just saw one of those like fandom posts, and apparently Terry Crews has been pitching this idea for doing for doing getting the gang back together for a Brooklyn Nine-Nine movie.
Okay.
And they're like doing like a heist film. I don't know, like I guess they would be the good guys in that case, right? Like they're the cops, obviously.
So wait, to get the cast back together, but not necessarily a Brooklyn Nine-Nine movie, or is it just...
No, it would be a Brooklyn Nine-Nine movie.
Nine-Nine.
I don't know.
Oh.
I didn't read too much.
Is it
into
the Andy Samberg thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They used to do a lot of heists on the show, so maybe it's just like a movie long. I think that's what they mean. Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
Because they would do this like thing.
Yeah.
I think every Halloween ? Where it was like, who is the greatest detective of all time, and they would have some sort of item, and everybody would try to get the item and be secret-y and all these things.
Interesting.
Yeah. Also,
what?
Fremulon, I think it is the production company. They did Parks and Rec, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Good Place, and Master of None, and some other stuff.
Interesting.
Master of None was a strange one. I watched the first season. I feel like everybody watched the first season. I started the second season and I kind of got lost. And then I heard the third season, they just took a total left turn. It's not even about Aziz Ansari's character anymore. And it's like, way, I wish you could do that to every show. Just be like, yeah, this episode, remember the hot dog vendor in that Law and Order episode? Rest of this next season, it's all about him.
Hey, speaking of TV gems that I've been checking out of late, I love watching Halo. That's been a show.
Is it good?
It's
How does it hold up to Red versus Blue?
By the way, so here's the thing. So if you watch the latest episode, I forget if it's the fourth or the fifth one, but the latest episode. Okay, so I had not played enough Halo in my life to be like to even call myself a Halo fan per se, but I have certainly played enough to know like some of the references. And so up until this latest episode, there's sort of been like, it was like everything was, if you were playing the game, it would be all cinematic all the time, for the most part. The episode one had like a good amount of action. But what was it? I think it's episode 5. The latest episode had an entire battle sequence where they're fighting the Covenant, and it's literally they get on like a gunner jeep, and you got like the Spartans just like running through this. It's like basically this big excavation site, like where they're digging up one piece of the Halo, and it becomes like the video game. I'm like, oh, and then they had all kinds of references. There were some like pieces of dialogue, like the Spartans are just ripping off, and you're like, I'm like, if you were a fan of the game, I'm like, you're having a nerdgasm just like watching that episode, especially that like 10-15 minute sequence.
Could you just
because
find
it felt like
for me?
A live action video game version of Halo, like live action version of the game. And I think if anybody was like on the edge about this, I think this episode probably draws them in. Like, yeah, I'm in. Let's watch this thing.
Most of my Halo experience was watching it as a kid. I never played. And anytime I tried, I'm terrible at video games, if you didn't know. Because I had little brother syndrome. I was always just watching other people play. And that's enjoyable. I still enjoy the occasional play through video.
Okay.
That's why you should So you're watching a lot of Twitch streamers and stuff?
I actually am not. I just mean like every once in a while I will watch, like I'll be like, I never beat that game. How does it end? And then
How does that work? Fair.
yeah, not a gamer.
No,
I'm
I'm a
not a gamer.
huge gamer.
I know.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
What are you
By
playing
the way,
right now?
guys, you should have any of you guys seen Severance?
I feel like I should. I don't have Apple TV Plus. I feel like I should. Is it Apple TV Plus? Did I just make that
It's
up?
It's Apple TV Plus, yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a good show. The buzz is good. In fact, all of Apple TV's stuff seems to be the best content out there. I'm just not watching it.
Season 2 of C, well, season 1 and 2 of C, but it has Jason Momoa in it. It's a fantastic show. That one I love watching. I just finished the second season. It had Dave Bautista in it, playing Jason Momoa's character's brother.
I did see the first season of Morning Show, which is a really well-made show. I was impressed. And then, I enjoyed the Wondery podcast Shrink Next Door, and that got turned into an Apple TV show with Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell. And
yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I don't think Will Ferrell can convincingly play a Jewish person, though he tries. He's supposed to be this neurotic New York Jew, and he looks the part. He's got the curly hair and but as a Jew myself, I'm looking at that and I go, it's not Jewish neuroticism. It's an interpretation of it. I found that like a kind of inauthentic. And normally I'm a big Will Ferrell fan, but that
he can. He really can do a lot of things, but I cannot see that. Can we? By the way, can we just take a second to look at Roland's chair? What is he? That looks like a cozy grandpa chair.
Let's take a look.
You know what really sell the effect of that green screen? If he had like, one of those nets that you would put up to make sure like the flies don't get in, and if this was like the balcony, and he would have like a grill up like in the background, because then it would just look like he's sitting on his balcony, and you just put up like some like background sound effects of crickets, or I don't know, like
get a bunch of that'd be fun to do, like real background props on top of the green screen for anything, honestly.
I really need to get green screen, guys.
You really do.
You're making me embarrassed.
Every time I lean back, I feel like I'm going to fall off a balcony here.
I just want something
compact. Once Roland comes back, we can definitely get started with the show. I think we're
alrighty
tapped out on things to talk about.
Well, here he is,
unless you guys
the man of the hour.
Discuss. Welcome back, Roland. Hello? Roland?
He's muted.
Roland, are you there?
If we're still doing a pre-show, I thought I'd do a little bit of a mukbang, if you will.
I don't know what that is.
I've, vitamins and all that. It's just like you eat stuff and people watch you. I knew a friend that did that for a little bit.
What vitamins do you take?
Whatever's in this yogurt.
Oh, okay. I thought you'd take like actual supplements.
No, I probably should though. Do you?
Yeah. A ton.
What do you take?
So if you you really want the list. So if you think about it, but like I've read so much about nutrition and stuff. So for example, the orange people had 50 years ago does not have the same amount of vitamin C, for example, that you actually should have because of the farming and stuff, the soil, and the way we do farming is not the way we're meant to do farming, essentially, because we're destroying bit by bit of each ground, of each layer.
So it's important to take those supplements. Again, I'm not a doctor. We need
Not
the
a
little
doctor.
sticker.
Not a
Not
doctor. We need a segment,
But-
not a doctor.
Yeah.
Premier
No, but
not
I
doctor.
take magnesium, zinc, vitamin D, vitamin C, B12 because I'm vegan, vegetarian, don't eat meat. I take creatine, and that's it. And pyroxine, essentially, just for brainsies. So yeah, just recommend you guys. I get definitely D after pandemic, like that I think was a big one. So
Yeah.
But look into it. It's, you know, vitamins are not that expensive.
Is that bad
and,
yogurt?
I bit my lip.
Oh.
Oh,
I
On
somehow
live
bit it, like,
television.
right here. I didn't know you could bite your lip right there, but here we are. I had a
Sneak
dream
up on
last night.
By the
where-
way, Roland, just so you know, Dan said as soon as you got back, we could start the show.
Oh, did
But
not
you
hear
had a
that.
dream.
I am
I
so
know,
sorry.
I know, and I do want to hear about it all. But I'm like, I definitely want to hear about the dream, but we should get into the show. So tell us about
Yeah,
it,
sorry.
and then I
Oh,
do
we gotta do the
think
comment of the week.
I
and
was
then
gonna
we
bring
can-
that up. I'm on top of it. I was gonna
Okay,
ask about the
okay,
comment
okay.
of the week.
Sorry.
I have a little faith, you know. We're gonna have a
Fair-
good show.
Sorry.
But tell us about the dream, because I'm a sucker for dreams. I am.
let's analyze you.
Please, I'll
Yeah, I
get
was
my
gonna say, do you guys like you follow into the whole dream analysis thing?
yes, I do.
Yeah.
Psychoanalysis.
I-
subconscious.
So it's quick
Massive.
tangent. I kept a dream journal as an assignment in my high school psychology class for it was supposed to be a week, and it was like a sentence a night. But when you start taking more notes on those things, you start dreaming more. And a couple months later, because I just enjoyed it, I was writing 3 or 4 pages per night, and I was
Yeah.
starting to live more in my dreams than in my waking life. Anyway, enough about my
Inception.
psychology. What was your
Sorry.
dream last night?
I've always had very vivid dreams. Like
Me too.
like I know for a fact that I dream in color because I remember like a certain dream here and there. But I had this dream where I'm sure you guys will have a lot of fun with. I was cleaning a pool. Doesn't matter why. I was waiting for my girlfriend and her friend for this doctor appointment, and my teeth rotted.
Teeth falling out is a big one.
Yeah,
It's
my
Did
teeth
you have-
rotted.
Yeah.
I
Had
tried
you
to like
just
push
watched
it back
Mother?
in. No,
I did.
Does that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. In fact, I've had so many teeth falling out dreams. I wrote a song called Baby Teeth, and that's like one of the verses in it.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's really common one.
What does it
Super
mean?
common.
That's one about fear of growth and things changing. And so when our teeth fall out, you know, as a kid, it's one of the more traumatic things, because that's supposed to be something that makes us strong. We chew and we tear into meat, and like
Uh-huh.
even Freud said that we smile, we bare our teeth as a pseudo threat, you know.
Yeah.
And so when it falls out, you leave yourself vulnerable, but it's a way of paving the way for new growth.
Huh,
And so it's usually trepidation around things changing and growing up.
okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, but it's more along the lines of like I'm excited for change and I want change to
That's
happen.
fine.
Exactly.
That's fine. But it's there.
It's just
Okay.
the process. Yeah.
You know, like I was excited about losing teeth too as a kid. But it's a recurring thing in your life. You lose them at the end of your life too, if you don't take good care of them. So the note to the viewer: brush your teeth, take good care of those things. Dan, what is the comment of the week?
I'm glad you asked. Let me.
I told you I would.
I'll just preface it by saying that it's we put up quick hits last night, and these quick hits were all about sorry, I should really prep for this better. Well, okay, so the quick hits had a bunch of different stories, but one of the most important things that the quick hits were all about were
Your brother never told you never threaten a man's family?
yeah, the quick hits were about family. So The Fast
Clearly.
family, to be more specific, and we got ourselves a. Oh, what is this? All right. What am I just doing to myself? Sorry. Okay, back to what I was saying earlier. We had a comment, a comment of the week, as I like to call it, and it was about the Fast family. So there's a new movie coming out. It's called Fast 10 or Fast X. We don't know yet. We don't really know the title for sure. It's Vin Diesel just put up this logo, so that's all we have to work off of. The movie's in production, and we had Branson Belcher, I think Branson Belcher commented on that Quick Hits video, and you could tell if you just I don't know who wants to. I don't want to read this because I've already read this like 5 times. Roland, how about you walk us through this comment? He's really excited about this movie.
Yes, I will say in the original comment, there was a lot of emojis that we appreciated and loved. But what Branson says is Fast 10 will have to be these last 2 final movies. Fast X is going to have everyone in these 2 final movies as well. I think I read that wrong. It's going to be...
No. This is definitely just written that way.
Okay. Fast 10 will have the film begin with the 2 final movies. Fast X is the new revealed title for Fast and Furious 10. Fast X Part 1 will have to
This
be
is the comment of the week.
This
This is
the
the best
underwater
we can
submarines.
do.
This is the month. This is the longest comment ever. I
Oh
love
my
this. Hold on.
God.
Fast X
Can
Part...
you start again because I'm so lost?
I know. Branson, I hope you know we're not making fun of you. We just love this comment. That's all. And the dedication to this. So Fast 10, your seatbelts will have to be these last 2 final movies. So it's going to be like a part 1 and 2 thing. That's what he's trying to say. Fast X is going to have everyone in these 2 final movies as well. Fast 10 will have the film begin with 2 final movies. Fast X is the new revealed title for Fast and Furious 10. Fast X Part 1 will have to be heading back to underwater / submarines. Fast X Part 2 is going to be heading back to outer space. I like that. It's like, you know, they were going up, now they're going down, and then back up and ending with that up. They're going to be driving to underwater in outer space. Fast X is going to have spaceships, spacesuits, moonrakers, laser guns, and stunts will coming in these 2 final movies. Exclamation mark.
Roland, you're rubbish at reading. Same as me, but just saying.
That's how I did it. I nailed it.
No, listen. This
No,
is not an easy
punctuation,
thing to. This is not an easy thing to
commas.
read.
True, but
You want me to give it a shot? Let's really.
No. Mags, you take it away.
Fast 10 will have to be these last 2 final movies. Fast 10 is going to have everyone these 2 final movies as well. Fast 10 will have the film.
Great show,
Begins
everybody.
With 2 final movies. Fast 10 is yeah, I give up. It's
Again,
hard.
we're not making fun of you, Branson. I swear we're just
No, of course not.
at that level. That's all.
Good job. Good job, Rowan.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you. And thank you to Branson for leaving a comment. We love to hear from you guys. We love comments, even if it's a hate comment.
Yeah, I
towards
can't wait
me,
to read some of
towards me.
those.
You can, yeah.
No, bring the hate. I heart my haters.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Family. That's the theme. Here.
Wow.
As
Oh,
always.
Daniel, I see you in your new colors.
Look at that colors.
This is me straight out of bed. You know, this is what I go to sleep in. So
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Really vibrant.
I just like walked out of bed. And I was just like, let's do the show. So I did.
Okay.
So we are. Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't have friends. I got family.
Okay then. You guys ready to do this thing? We got a lot to talk
Are
about.
we starting
today.
it? Okay. We started.
No, we didn't start it yet. I'm just asking.
didn't
You guys
start it
ready to do this thing?
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Okay.
I think so. I think I'm ready. Is everybody else ready? Are we good?
I'm-
We good to go.
yeah.
Are you watching? Are you ready?
I just want to say, Mags, Andrew, that was a great pre-show.
I had a good time.
It was
Yeah.
nice.
You guys did a great job of filling time while I get everything ready to go. Just letting everybody in on the back end.
That's the conceit of the pre-show, in
That
which we reveal the inner layers of ourselves to become more personable and relatable to you, the viewer, as a facade for us setting up the technical aspects of the actual show. We hope you liked it.
All right then. Well put. Let's start the show.
Hello, you people. This is another episode of Oh So Curious. We are four curious minds trying to tell time. I'm Andrew Frankel. With me, I've got Mags, Daniel, and Rolan. It's going to be a good show. We are talking about Netflix because there's a lot happening with Netflix. I hope you didn't lose too much money this week if you're holding some of their stock. And Nick Cage's massive talent. This was a pretty fun movie to watch. But before we get into that, how's everybody doing?
Doing quite
We're
well.
getting a couple thumbs, 4 thumbs up so far. Dan, that's 6 thumbs. I will put up 2 more. That is 8 thumbs up. What's going on, Mags? How's things in your corner of the world?
Beautiful, sunny, warm, gorgeous. Well, I know it's nothing new for you because you're in California. So,
Yeah, it's hot. It's getting hot over here. Roland, how you doing?
yeah.
It's good. Tried a bidet for the first time.
What? Okay, guys,
Thank you.
we're gonna start this. We're gonna just sort of derail the show. Let you know about bidets. How was it? We have a good time.
I was just gonna say it. Move on with my life. It was cool. It was like it was. It had great aim, and that's what I'm gonna say about that.
Wow.
Actually,
You know
one
what?
more thing. One more
Please,
thing. It's
as many
warm.
things as you
I
want.
don't know how they do the water, but it's warm.
I love this show. If you have anything to add about bidets, your experience with bidets, comment below. You could be the comment of the week next week. I hope you are. I look forward to reading your comment.
You killed Dan.
Dan,
Producer down.
This is yeah. By the way, we're streaming live on YouTube right now, as well as Twitch. I believe today is our first day streaming on Twitter too. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah.
And
Today we are on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, everywhere. We're everywhere.
Look at that. Well, let's not tarry. Dan, what's happening on the show today? You want to give us a rundown?
Yeah. Let me do just that. All right. So on today's show, we will kick things off with quick hits, as we usually do. Brian was generous enough to do that for us. Then we are talking all about massive talent. Nick Cage's massive talent. Moon Knight. We got episode 5 to talk about. Well, predictions. We will also review episode 4. What did Andrew say? Nixon, 1995, 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, we will preview Memory, Liam Neeson's Memory. Not his memory. He's got a new movie coming out that's called Memory. And okay, I don't want to make this joke, but there's also a couple of Bruce Willis movies. It's not a joke. There's a couple of Bruce Willis movies coming out. Never mind. I'm not gonna go there. I stopped myself. There's 2 Bruce Willis movies that we will preview. We will also preview a movie.
I kind of had a
Liam
feeling
Neeson
where
is
those
gonna
were
be.
going.
Yeah. Sorry, I made the
Yikes.
connection and my brain was like, use it, and I was like, no. And you just saw
Honestly,
me
like,
struggle with that. So
You just
You
went
know,
for it.
yeah.
yeah,
Wow. Good thing we
Saved
do these
myself.
live.
That was really close.
I
You
love
really should
this
like
set
script this out
so much
next
already.
time.
Get Bruce Willis's name out your mouth. If I were in Connecticut, right?
Yeah.
I would get up there and I would slap you. Anyway, that's the show that's going to be unfolding before your very eyes. Should we get into it? Should we talk about Netflix?
Oh, we got
First,
a
let
ton to do
me-
well before that. We got to talk about Massive Talent. Didn't you guys just watch the rundown? I mean, listen to our podcast when you get a chance if you're not watching the show.
Right.
Listen.
Oh yeah.
Apple, Spotify. Quick hits. I think that's what we do first, right? That's what the rundown said.
Let's do the quick hits then. Let's see what's going on this week. Let's see
It
what
seems
Brian
like-
has to say.
Seems like
All
Liam
right,
Neeson
yeah.
is the only one with
Let's go
memory
to quick hits.
problems.
I sorry.
Whoa.
I say that,
All
but
right,
then I
shots
always
fired.
find myself not having it ready to go.
All right. Well,
Okay,
in the
let's do the
meantime,
quick
while you
hits.
get that ready, let's address the tension happening on the show. Roland clearly has something to say to me, and again, if I were across the United States right now, I would slap you.
Can we go to quick hits
No,
now?
I'm just
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
quick
we're
hits,
ready.
quick hits.
We're
Oh,
ready.
okay, okay,
let's
sorry,
look at the
no,
quick
okay.
hits.
going on?
Okay, I don't know
am
what's going
so
on.
lost.
Okay.
All right, let's see what we got. All right, so the first Thor Love and Thunder trailer dropped out of nowhere. Long-haired Thor, our favorite Maid of Rock's sidekick Korg, Peter Quill, and the Guardians. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. The Asgardians of the galaxy, slave gods on alien planets, and holy guns for days arms of mighty Thor. This teaser trailer is awesome. It's not. I don't know if it's awesome. I honestly don't know what this is talking about. I'm just reading from a script, so I don't know. So all I know is that Natalie Portman is I think she's returning to Guardians of the Galaxy to be Thor's love interest, which interests me because I love Natalie Portman. I'm a big fan. So yeah, can't wait to see our first look at Christian Bale's Gore the God Butcher. That sounds interesting. It should be interesting. So we'll see. We'll see what Christian Bale has to offer with that. In other news, the Batman crossed 750 million at the worldwide box office, and it's continuing to rake it in. While it currently holds the title as the highest grossing movie of the year, Warner Brothers dropped the movie on HBO Max this week. I don't know if you guys saw, but it's now on HBO Max. I haven't rewatched it yet. The only time I've seen it was the very first day it dropped in theaters. I liked it. I thought it was a pretty solid movie. Definitely a different perspective on Batman for sure. It's a much darker movie of Batman for sure. So yeah, if you haven't been able to see it in theaters yet, now you can see it at home on your big screen TV. Hopefully you have a big screen TV. If you don't, then oh well, go buy one. Now for some real news of the week. Family is coming back. Oh God.
I don't have friends. I got family.
No, not this again. No. Oh geez. Vin Diesel announced that Fast 10, the 10th movie in the Fast franchise, has now started production. And why? Why has it started production? I don't know. I thought they were done with the Fast and Furious series, but apparently they're not. With new stars like Jason Momoa, Daniela Melchior, and Brie Larson joining the fray, Dom Toretto and his family will be back wreaking Fast and Furious havoc on our screen faster than you can say family.
What's real is family.
Yeah, so let's put a cap on that. In other news, Aaron Paul revealed this week that he asked former co-star and close friend Bryan Cranston, which I'm a really big fan of both, to be the godfather of his newborn son. Oh, how sweet. The Breaking Bad duo have continued their long-standing friendship well beyond the end of the iconic series and will be reprising their roles in the final season of spin-off series Better Call Saul. Yeah, I need to catch up on my Better Call Saul. I started watching it before, didn't get too deep into it, but definitely have to rewatch it and go through it. But yeah, you gotta love Breaking Bad. Gotta love that series. And lastly, The Northman is finally here. Now playing in theaters, Robert Eggers' latest outing is being called a, quote, bloody revenge epic, and a, quote, breathtaking visual marvel. Starring Alexander Skarsgård, Nicole Kidman, Ethan Hawke, and Anya Taylor-Joy, the Viking thriller is now certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes and off to a great start at the box office. Have you seen it yet? Because I haven't seen it yet. Actually, to be quite honest with you, I've never even heard of it. So yeah, this is my first time hearing about it. So yeah, so those are the quick hits for this week. I hope you enjoyed them. And by the way, have you been watching Moon Knight? I believe it's on Disney Plus. So yeah, 4 episodes I believe we're in now, and wow, this show is absolutely bonkers. Yeah, Oh So Curious, our YouTube channel, we've been reviewing Moon Knight, and I hope you've been keeping up with us. I need to catch up on that as well. But yeah, so we've been reviewing every episode, and just make sure to check out the episodes and check out our reviews of Moon Knight and let us know if you're enjoying it thus far. But for now, I'm Brian Jennings, and those are your quick hits. I'll see you later. Check mic. Check the mic. What do we got for this week? Let's see what's going down in your town. Are we ready? We gonna do this? Kind of like that. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Here are the quick hits for this week. Welcome. My name is Brian Jennings, and here are the quick hits for this week.
Oh. Love that.
I miss Brian.
I miss Brian.
Well, that's some massive talent right there, I would say.
Oh, some might say an unbearable weight of it.
I don't know how Brian is able to manage the unbearable weight of his massive talent, which brings us to our next part of the show, reviewing the Nick Cage movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Did you guys see it?
I did.
Mags, did you see it?
I have not. No.
You haven't
That's
seen
what
it?
I'm looking
Oh,
No.
So just us,
Just
just me and
you.
Roland. Interesting.
That was the deal. I'm pretty sure that's what we agreed.
I thought
But I'll be looking. Try to sell it to me.
okay.
Okay, well, first of all, let's start basic. Roland, thumbs up, thumbs down. What'd you think? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and second that.
Yeah.
Good movie. I think we're kind of seeing a trend here of movies that are straying away from being just one thing. Last week we covered Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was Everything All at Once. This movie takes a really different tack with that, and basically it's super self-aware. Nick Cage plays himself, and every time they discuss what kind of movie it is, the type of movie it is changes. And it's
I think you're kind of getting
interesting.
ahead of it.
Maybe. Why don't you tell me, why don't you take me back to the beginning?
So basic gist summary, it's about actual Nick Cage. He's somehow bankrupt again, and
Sorry about that.
Okay, we had a bit of technical difficulties there, but Roland, you were saying that
It's still, it looks a little frozen on my screen. I don't know if anybody else is getting that.
Same.
let's take a look.
Oh, I'll fix that. Give me a second. Yeah,
Oh,
you're good.
Okay. Where was I? I'm so sorry, guys. We were
So,
talking about the
massive talent, and we have a bit of a bromance blooming here where Nick Cage is meeting his biggest fan ever, and Nick Cage is thinking he's going to quit acting. And one of the scenes that I loved is where he's telling him you can't quit, but instead of just trying to convince him, he starts imagining that they're in a movie, and he forces Nick Cage to act, and he gets him to recognize his love for the art, and he's like bringing his hero back to life, and they're able to recognize in each other something that's been missing in every other part of their lives. And it's like a real movie about friendship and how you can find undiscovered friendship.
And that's Pedro Pascal, right?
That is Pedro Pascal, and he's wonderful. And so, Roland, you were making the point that right after the scene, they start talking about making a movie, and go ahead with that.
One of the major things that they grow this friendship on is talking about movies, which is something that Nick Cage can't do with his daughter, which is a big theme in the movie. But they start talking about movies, and they're like, hey, you know, we should make a movie together. And so they have these movie ideas, and throughout the rest of the movie, that, you know, every time they get a new idea, the movie that we're watching changes to the idea. And a very interesting, it's such a, I hate to say this, but cute, subtle version of meta. You know,
well, that's what I really liked about it, is it wasn't self-aware in a very typical sense, because Nick Cage's character, he's always living in the reality of the movie. That doesn't change. And to contrast that with something like Everything Everywhere All at Once, like every scene has a certain feeling. They break the fourth wall, they do all this, but where the continuity is never broken in this. They just address like, well, this movie might be a little, you know, let's introduce a hostage situation. And he's like, why? And it's like, I don't know, we're just kind of, and the movie that they're conceptualizing is the movie we're watching, which is, I love.
So you mentioned Nick Cage, like, and his financial struggles. So I actually had no idea. So, and I'm guessing it's based on real life. So what's the story there? Did Nick Cage? It sounds like I've been living under the rock, but like, what
under
happened
the
to
rock?
Nick Cage?
So that was another thing. There were like so many funny like references to all the other Nick Cage movies.
Tons,
the whole, it's very funny because the whole like, oh, it's actually Nick Cage comes from a lot of actual Nick Cage. Nick Cage went through a lot of financial troubles very early in his careers, I think late 90s. And you know, a lot of it's just like spending crazy things. Like there's the famous story of him having a two-headed snake and this and that. And he basically, that's why the running joke is that, you know, Nick Cage won't say no to a movie because he was in debt. So he had to, you know, do this work. So that's where the whole concept of, you know, I'm not doing this to be a superstar, I'm doing this for the art comes in. And
so it's like a redemption film for him.
Oh
yeah, and I'll be honest, I walked out of the theater a much bigger fan of Nick Cage.
Oh yeah,
he laughs at himself, but he's not degrading himself or debasing himself. The way some of these other movies have, you know, these self-aware movies can. It's just the movie's got heart, it's got self-awareness, but it's not drenched in irony. It's a unique film, and I would recommend you see it. I liked it.
There is one thing that kept popping up, and it's in the trailer, so it's not really that big of a spoiler, but Nikki.
Yes,
in it.
I love that device.
Was so, there's which is something that I sadly related to, but he it was like his own conscious he was talking to, and it was a young version of Nicolas Cage. I think
they de-age him, they give him his old hair back, they really like, he's talking to this younger version of himself that is his ego.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's like that's the guy. Yeah, and Nikki is the character name, but like he's the one who pushes him to like incredible feats of narcissism in the movie. But again, like he deals with it in such a human way, and that's the most ridiculous it gets. And meanwhile, the real Nicolas Cage doesn't break, and you believe everything that you're seeing. It's
like it goes again with like this whole superstar thing, and it's pretty much like his pride, his ego, that's like saying, because when you get to that career, how I saw it, this is my opinion, but like when you get to that level of career, it's so easy for you to be thinking like, oh, you're hot stuff, you're this and that, you're a superstar.
Right.
It's not about being an actor or about the art anymore, it's about being a superstar. And that's what I kind of saw it as, like that tightrope that Nick Cage felt like he's been kind of on for the longest time. And you kind of see it with the quote unquote real Nick Cage, because at first he's very arrogant, very self-centered, but the more you see him, the more he loosens up and he becomes more of a person, if that makes sense. Andrew, would you agree?
Yeah, no, and I just love how far it went in some aspects, and then how it addresses that they're not going to go so far in other aspects. They actually jump off a cliff. They talk about having a big drug scene in the movie with a bunch of corny effects, and they're like, we don't need a bunch of corny effects. It was a wonderful thing where it's like, yeah, the acting is going to do all of that. And
okay, so question, so isn't it different? I mean, isn't it like just very interesting how it's literally 1 week later, after Everything Everywhere All at Once, we're seeing another self-aware film? Do you guys think this is a new trend?
Well,
are we
what?
Are we going to see more films like this? Because they're clearly working, because it's something new, right? Something you guys haven't seen.
It's funny that you should say that that's the trend. And I agree, like there are similarities in that, like self-awareness, but self-awareness has been a trend in comedy, in TV. It's been around. The thing that I'm noticing in these is the recognition that audiences need heart. I'm seeing genuine heart in movies again that I haven't seen for years. And I left the theater both times feeling happier, feeling like there was a bit more movie magic, which I hadn't seen. We've got plenty of self-awareness in Marvel movies, and jokes that are for the audience that are just, like we're in a movie, or this wasn't cheap self-awareness. This is producers and directors saying, we're aware that we've been self-aware, and they're actually correcting and trying to bring some heart and movie magic back to movies. That's what I'm seeing, and I like that.
Wow.
I think it's a good thing. It's giving me hope.
I will say, somebody sent me a meme of like, it was like, wow, unbearable weight of massive talent and Everything Everywhere All at Once. I love this trend of fiction where parents would apologize about their mistakes. Which is something,
but also maybe this is also just a coincidence, but super long titles, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Like, these are things, maybe it's a signal to audiences saying, like, if you can get through the sentence and you can remember this is us letting you know this is going to be something that makes you think. Like, it's a full, complete thought. I like those things.
Like the Birdman, guys. Do you remember? But
Birdman?
in the end, it was just a Birdman, but it was unbourbon. And what was it? What was
it was like the
unexpected virtue of, what was it?
Ignorance.
Reality. Ignorance, yes.
Yeah, and then there's also that Kristen Bell movie where it was like the house across the street next door to an open window.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I'm talking about.
Yeah, that was the Netflix. I didn't see that, and I don't know if it.
Oh yeah, but Birds of Prey is well done.
But we are seeing longer titles, just as like the next zag in the zigzag of trends.
But I wonder what was. Sorry, go ahead.
No, continue.
I was just gonna say that the Birdman was something that was also quite different, and it was
Yeah.
like a nod to a cinema. So
Yeah.
It was another self-aware one where you had, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name now. Batman and Birdman.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. Thank you. You know, he was addressing his own Batman fame in that,
exactly.
and is playing a sort of version of himself. You know, I think, and this may end up tying into what we say about Netflix and about streaming and everything, is like, there's been a lot of trends lately about basically denying our humanity and trying to be something more. And there's so much fakeness in our lives, whether it be presenting ourselves on social media or, you know, trying to be a celebrity or a superstar or trying to change what we are. There seems to be a shift toward humanity and, you know, kind of breaking out of this last 10 years of hypermedia. That's my feeling anyway. But I think bottom line, you should see this movie. It's a good one.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I will. You guys sold me. So sold it
Yeah,
to
that was the
me,
plan.
not sold me. Good job.
Well,
But yeah, excited to see what's next. I wonder what another is like the self-aware film we're going to watch. Yeah.
I think we're going to see some more. But in the meantime, right before we tell you about what's been going on with Moon Knight, and I got to say, I haven't been enjoying it up until this point, but I started to. Before we get to our review of this week's episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and tell all your friends about Oh So Curious. We're here every Sunday, live streaming and available throughout the week with updates on things going on in pop culture and the way entertainment industry is shifting. So give us a like, give us a subscribe, drop a comment, try to be the #1 comment for next week. And now I think we're going to take a look at Moon Knight Episode 4. Best episode of Moon Knight so far. Wow. I mean, really. This was.
It was an episode. I liked it. I don't know. It was kind of giving me like Legion vibes.
The best one so far. Very informative.
Interesting. It was visually really something to see, something to watch. I enjoyed the visuals of Egypt.
There's a lot of characters going around.
The description of the Eye of Horus, a little bit of education thrown in there. Wow, that was great. But beyond that, we get to actually see what's going on with the mental disorder here, the dissociative identity disorder.
It was cool. I like this. I hope they kind of stay in this world for another episode longer. I want to know more about Mark.
I really like the whole explanation of dissociative identity disorder, the quote-unquote hospital scene.
We end up in, spoiler, a mental hospital, and we don't know what's going on, but we are seeing the psychotic break visually represented as half of a psych ward and half an Egyptian tomb. Everything's very white and clean, but the realities are bleeding together.
I want to know, like, why does he have DID? Why, like, what happened with his parents? Are we gonna see what happened to him when he died? Spoilers.
It was very clever, and no one saw that one coming, so it was very exciting to see something new. And then obviously ending with Tauret, who's, it's awesome that they featured another god.
I know Layla, it was very hinted at that she's going to be a character named Scarlet Scarab, which is a villain Moon Knight has come across many a times.
Exciting to see where it goes, how they pick up how Tauret is going to help them, how they're going to pick up the story.
And there's a lot of mentions, like there's like a thimble on her pinky when we see her in the institute. And, you know, of course, being called Scarab and this and that, and also her name. Her name is actually the name of the original Scarlet Scarab. There's a lot going on.
And, you know, it's finally unpredictable and new and different.
in a way that I really haven't seen before.
And of course, Jake Lockley will finally get to start to see maybe his third personality. It'll be fun. I don't know. Per usual, I'm waiting to see where the show goes. My review?
I'm officially compelled to see what happens next.
Okay, so this was a good episode. I think that was pretty much unanimous for us who watched it. And now I just want to take a little bit of time to ask, like, do you have any predictions for what's going to happen next? Dan, we haven't heard from you in a bit. What are you thinking about Moon Knight at this point?
Okay, so I went into episode 4 with some level of idea that they were gonna sort of try to flip the tables on us and tell us that everything we've been watching so far isn't exactly real. So I sort of saw that coming, where I think a lot of people probably didn't, because if you are not either familiar with the Moon Knight comics, or you haven't kind of looked up the comics since watching starting to watch the show, there's a lot of comic book precedents to what's going on in the story. So to that end, for me, it just it was one of those things where I saw it coming, but it was fun nonetheless, because I love like sci-fi shows that sort of go in this direction. Like Stargate used to do it all the time, and some of the best episodes. There's other examples too, I'm sure. But I'm excited. The blue hippo is what gets me. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for psychological thrillers and stories that make you guess what's real. And I think before this episode, we were seeing a lot of like breaks in reality, and it's just from the outside that just makes him feel crazy. But when you can be just as unsure as the character you're watching as to what's real, that's compelling to me, and I think they did a really good job of introducing that.
The portrayal of like the portrayal of mental health, it's so always interesting. Like, it's so fascinating how films get to do it, because it's so different for each of us. And I remember you kept saying the whole time how you wish to see the other side. And when that happened, I was so happy, essentially for you, Andrew, because you were like, yes, he will finally like it. And it was the hospital. It was very clever, very, very clever.
I know. I mean, we're already past spoilers at this point, but the fact that he's watching the tape and he's playing the character of like this 90s VHS straight to video movie of an explorer who's in the Andes. And even the production on that, it was like, yeah, this feels like a 1990s straight to video movie. I was really into that. So I don't know why so much was missing for me in the other episodes, but they really raised the bar. And if we look at some of these, it's cool to see double Oscar Isaacs as well. But in the actual hospital, we start seeing like the white walls, but then you look closely and there's these Egyptian bricks that have been painted the same shade of white, and we start seeing more and more Egyptian stuff until we get Blue Hippo right at the end there, which when my jaw actually dropped and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm into it. And I went straight to recording the review. I was like, okay, this is a good one.
Actually, it was
Roland, about you?
That was hilarious. That was not expecting that.
No, but what do you guys think is next? Do you think that let's start with the hospital. Do you think that that's real?
No, not at all. I kind of saw it as like it's this like weird version of his brain, like his mindscape. I think he's kind of cracking down on his own mental health, so he thinks that's maybe where he belongs. I don't know, but I really want to see more about how long he's had these type of breaks. Like, how long has he had DID? Why does he have DID? See more about the origins of how he became Moon Knight and Layla's father. Is it Layla? Am I crazy?
Yeah, Layla. I mean,
Yeah.
you also
Yeah.
mentioned in your review for episode 4, and I was because this is something that I don't know, I might have grazed across but never paid attention to it, was the fact that Layla's character has like a comic book background where it's
Yeah.
there's a lot more to her than what we have seen so far.
Yeah,
Tell me about that?
I'm struggling to care for her.
I
As
agree.
bad as it sounds.
Yeah.
They really try to, make her romantic interest, but you just don't feel it.
Okay, also,
And
let's
yeah.
can we
Go
talk
for it.
about the weird love triangle that's happening between two of his
Yeah.
personalities? You know,
Not
it's
buying
like,
it.
yeah, well, first of all, like, let's talk about the geometry, because it's not really a triangle, is it? It's like an infinity symbol or something. I don't
Something
know.
like
A
that.
teardrop, but like it's who does she love? Is she just attracted to the guy? She just likes Oscar Isaac at the end of the day.
I mean, she says like
Yeah.
you smell like him, but why wouldn't you, right? Like when she's talking to Steven and she's talking to Steven and talking about Mark, right?
That'd be crazy if you smelled different based on what personality. you
I'm
were
like, Oscar Isaac
exhibiting.
is a good actor, right? Great actor,
Yeah.
but I don't think he
Yeah.
can change that much. You know?
Yeah.
That's it. I just
I really yeah.
I was gonna mention, if you just look at this picture again, like I keep throwing it up, just look at. I mean, there's so many things. You can see there's a difference in hairstyle, right?
Yeah.
There's just the way their stance, the way they're standing, and how like what they're wearing, and just the facial expressions, and
The
in
different
almost every
characters.
which way. I feel like he works so hard. I'm sure he had coaches and whatnot, but the commitment to playing these characters so differently. I mean, we have
Yeah.
seen in a lot of movies and TV shows examples of this where one actor's playing multiple roles, and for
Split.
example,
That's a good one.
Yeah.
The
Brilliant.
Flash is another one it's gonna be coming out next year. Ezra Miller, if he ever gets out of the trouble that he's in, hopefully that movie will come out, and he's meant to play like 2 or 3 characters in that. But like you could see, that's a trope in Hollywood. But
Yeah.
in all of those occasions, I've almost never come across an example where you see one actor do it as well as Oscar Isaac does it here. Like,
Yeah.
and then doing it well in the sense so subtle, you're never taken out of the story, and you're never like asking yourself the question, or you're reminded of the fact that it's the same actor playing multiple roles. You just sort of go along with it because of how well it's done. And I'm fascinated by that.
You weren't into the Nutty Professor? That blew me away.
That, yeah.
Norbit. Norbit.
Murphy.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I love seeing actors range, especially when you can compare them side by side, and we're getting to see that now in this, and it's become a better show.
Can we talk about the scream as well? The final scream, because that
Sure.
was something I've never heard in my life. Like that high pitched, just fear. I mean,
Yeah.
because to be fair, how else would
okay.
you react to if you'd see a blue hippo in a like least expected moment?
You guys keep
Yeah.
saying blue hippo, but is it blue? Am I going crazy?
I
It
think it's
was,
blue.
I
Let me
think
pull
it's
it up.
colorful.
Slightly.
Yeah,
Sort of blue. Yeah.
I mean,
Blue
that's
purple.
what hippos look like.
How many hippos have you
I-
seen?
They're sort
Online?
of grayish.
Doesn't?
I've seen them on like National Geographic and BBC documentaries.
I don't know, I just kept hearing like blue hippo, so I was like, I guess the scarab on her chest is blue.
It is.
So
Yeah.
I'll work with that.
Contextually blue.
Max,
Yes.
you know about the god that this is portraying. So tell us about there's a Tauret. How do you pronounce that?
Tauret.
Tauret.
Yeah, so she's if I remember correctly, like she's a goddess of like femininity, and that's why it's so interested. Why is she there? And that's something that goes against what Roland thinks is happening, because if we were inside of his head, why is he seeing? Because I suppose Stephen is very fascinated about Egyptian mythology as well. He's massively into that. So perhaps he's projecting her into his brain, but like at the same time, why would you do that? Why this specific god?
I believe there was a
Someone who's-
reference
yeah.
to her in the first episode because
Was
they were
there?
talking
Oh.
about
Is
like stuffed animals and hippos were one of them.
You know, it's interesting when we saw the other avatars in the pyramid. I think that was episode 3. I felt like that was kind of a cop out for not showing us the gods, and I really would have loved to see that scene with the other Egyptian gods in their actual forms. I saw this as kind of a hint that we're gonna see more, and that's exciting to me because I felt a little shortchanged.
I just looked this up. By the way, as I was looking this up, I found some hilarious images from the episode. I'm just like that, hi, and then this scream. But the goddess, this Egyptian goddess Tauret is meant to be. It says she's the goddess of childbirth and fertility, and so the word Tauret means she who is great or simply great one, and it's a common pacificatory address to dangerous deities. Pacificatory address, I guess that means, so it's like a nice way to call somebody who's dangerous, I suppose. Whatever. I don't know how it ties into Moon Knight comic mythology, but that's the Egyptian mythology for you. So.
Yeah, but why? Why in Steven's head? You know.
Yeah.
Well, that's the question, right? That's
know.
episode 5. I've got some other questions,
Steven
right?
Pregnant?
So obviously, come again?
Stephen pregnant.
Well,
We've already
perhaps
seen-
metaphorically, because they've introduced other personalities that have yet to manifest, and so it could be a signal. You know, we were talking about teeth dreams, so why not? It could be a metaphor for, you know, the birth of this next personality, that kind of thing.
There is a third personality I'm pretty sure we haven't seen yet, because like and Roland keeps pointing it out. It's like Jake Lockley, I think, is one of like the cab driver personality from the comics, and like we saw in preview in the last episode 3, where like the guy who's stabbing and killing these other dudes is not obviously Mark or Steven, because Mark and Steven are both like, you know, kind of bamboozled, like what is happening here? Did you do this? Why'd you do this? You know, and then they leave one of those sarcophagus like closed, and that
was interesting to me too.
Yeah.
It's like, why did we open one but not all of them?
Yeah.
And it's like,
I mean, maybe there's
we didn't
even
have
more
the
than
budget
3
for 3
personalities.
Oscar
Who knows?
Isaacs.
You know.
Yeah.
You know.
I will
why
say
Alexander the Great sarcophagus? I thought that was very interesting, because
Clever.
that was actually history that, like, oh right, he was a pharaoh. Completely missed. And I think you, Andrew, mentioned that in your review, that it was very informative. That not many series can actually do it. That they teaches us something that we wouldn't normally think of or come across.
And that's a symbol that we see all over the place. It's kind of, but nobody, I didn't know it was even called the Eye of Horus, but the fact that he starts taking you through the 5 senses, I was like, that's brilliant. And it makes me really, and I've always liked Egyptian stuff and the mythology, but you know, that symbol has a lot of mystery to it. And I love that the eyebrow is what represents thought and emotion. It's like, yeah, we really do convey a lot with our eyebrows. But that's been part of, you know, human knowledge, or even it's even been in the lexicon of metaphors for people, is for that long, is super interesting. And I think we got little peeks at that with the star maps and folding things together, but the fact that it comes together in a perfect 5-pointed star, I didn't love. But the idea that there's a connection between the stars and ancient Egypt and even the construction of the pyramids. There's a lot you can read into this if you know about Egyptian mythology. If you don't, it's doing an interesting job of, well, I would even say a pretty good job of letting you know certain things that you otherwise would just pass right over.
Sorry, I I muted myself there for a second. I agree with you. I think it's almost like if it's you damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you knew about all the Egyptian mythology, your mind would be running crazy with all kinds of theories, and if you don't, you're still sort of like just trying to theorize what's coming next. So I wanted to ask you guys just a couple of quick ones here before we finish up. Episode 5. Do we see Khonshu coming back? Like, what do you think about that?
Not
like,
yet.
is Khonshu gonna be back?
I feel like they didn't. He's not gone. You know, there's just from a production standpoint, I know that if you spend that much time animating a character, you're gonna try and get as much out of that as you can. So I think he'll be
Yeah.
back.
Well, from a story standpoint, even I mean, he's gone for an episode. I feel like they didn't really need him. You didn't feel him missing, but
Maybe that
I-
was him in the sarcophagus that they
Maybe.
didn't open.
But I'm of the mindset that they're probably not gonna bring him back until the absolute last episode, until you absolutely need him to like. So maybe okay. So that leads me to my next question. So because Khonshu's not there, we also don't have Moon Knight, like the suit Moon, like in this episode. So if Khonshu's not coming back next episode, or if he is, I mean, do you think that coincides with the return of the suit, or are they gonna kind of separate it out and say, hey, maybe the power was within you the whole time, Stephen, Mark, or whoever, and you don't necessarily need Khonshu to always be there, like, or are they gonna like wait until Khonshu comes back to bring the suit back too? Anybody?
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
Complicated.
Yeah, I've only read some of the comics. I I'm not too, I'm of course trying to keep up as much as I can. But it's complicated. And take me off the solo screen. That's all I'm going to say.
No. Put him back. I want to hear what he has to say about this being Yeah.
No, I don't know. It's like it's an avatar. It's like it's weird because he definitely gets powers from it, but at the same time, like it's
complicated.
So next up, we have what did Andrew say? Andrew,
this is a mutiny.
I think you had something to say. So
I did. You guys made me watch a long movie.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Let's see what I said about it.
You picked. Wait. We didn't make you.
I mean,
made decision.
I made the decision. However, I seen everything that you proposed. And Dan, as much as I enjoyed Koi Milgya, I don't know how many Bollywood movies I have in me. But you know what? If they're really better than this one, maybe I don't know. I thought this would be better. I'd never seen an Oliver Stone movie before. So yeah, let's see what I said.
After Max struck out on 2 for 2.
I was so confident with that one, I didn't even get it back up.
You won fair and square.
I was asked to watch Oliver Stone's Nixon. I did. Nixon is a work of mostly historical fiction that paints an American president as a sweaty, lip-biting, unlovable even by his own mother and wife liar. Someone who is born to be a liar is the message that we get about Richard Nixon. He lies to his mother about stealing and trying a cigarette, to his wife about wanting to stay out of politics if it would make her happy, and of course lying to the American people and trying to steal an election for himself. The film uses excerpts from the Watergate tapes and recreates those moments on screen. This is an interesting device for showing us what those conversations may have looked like, but for all of the imagination that went into recreating those moments, we use that as a stepping stone for other imagined conversations that were never recorded. We also get a picture of Nixon as stiff, religious, harshly conservative, and at times inhuman. There's a sort of running joke where we listen to conversations between him and his wife. He refers to her as buddy over and over and over again. And this culminates in a scene where she seems to be offering to have sex with him, and he says, I don't need that, I'm not like JFK. And it paints a picture of him as so repressed that he wouldn't even touch his own wife.
Aside from that, it is an all-star cast, which doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't do anything really for certainly the veracity of the film. Many of the performances are good. The film runs 3 hours and 11 minutes, and at the end of the day, I can think of better ways to spend a Monday.
All right, Netflix. What's up with that?
Netflix has been in the news lately because we're seeing a lot of weird moves. Their stock plummeted, if you were paying attention. And I will tell you, this is I think we're watching a brand struggle for air. You know, this is well, let's talk about it. This is something that started out as a subscription service for DVDs that you could rent, which put Blockbuster out of business and Hollywood Video and the like. And then they were the first to introduce streaming movies with a paid subscription that was $8.99 a month. It was affordable. And then they started making their own series. They got me with Arrested Development when they brought that back for a 4th season. And that was how a lot of us started paying for Netflix. Then they introduced the Netflix binge. They started making incredibly addictive content. But Mags, what does Netflix think they are? What is their content strategy? And what do you think is the struggle they're dealing with right now in terms of the stuff they make?
So yeah, you sort of started it very nicely. And I think we should start from in the past to kind of talk about present, just to kind of understand what's happening. So Netflix put years into like their battle with having streaming services being recognized and sort of, you know, accepted by the, oh my goodness, by the, not community, industry.
The industry.
Jesus.
Okay.
And
sure,
public, yes. Just because they had to fight with traditional theaters and their releases and stuff. So for streaming services to even land on the map, that was all thanks to Netflix. So let's not forget that's essentially we have everything else because of them.
They were pioneers.
Exactly, because they figured some things out, such as how to take movie stars or filmmakers or even whole genres like romantic comedies or westerns and turn them into success. Just like finding those kind of special things. So as you already mentioned, for you it was Arrested Development. For me it was House of Cards. That one was
House of Cards was also good for a season. And
exactly
this is what, for some reason, Netflix is losing money, it's losing subscribers, and it's losing people's interest. What do you think is the story there?
So yeah, we had, but let me continue on the thing, because I think Netflix deserved that. Netflix deserved a praise because we had Stranger Things, we had Dark, recently we had Bridgerton. All those series were big. However, the problem is Netflix would actually have to release series like this, like Stranger Things or Dark or Arrested Development, every single month in order for them to continue the growth.
Right.
They essentially put themselves into like on this unrealistic pace that it's hard for them to keep the demand keep the demand satisfied essentially.
I want to
so what do they have?
Sorry, I don't want to come across as interrupting, but I have a problem. Okay, so not a problem, but let me point something out here, right? So
how about I present everything and then you guys can rip it apart?
Okay.
Because I have like this whole, it all makes sense, okay? And I'm sure I probably answer your thing.
There's
it's not going to be long.
Here.
Exactly.
All right.
There is, and it's going to all make sense. So what do we have left? We have reality TV, we have children's entertainment.
Yeah.
But, you know, people are taking their businesses elsewhere. So what's happening? We have a lot of series and things that are pretty much similar to one another. So just because one show works doesn't mean people will like the same stuff being repeated over and over, just in different genres, different things. That's why, with already like a way overwhelming number of content on HBO Max or Disney Plus or Apple TV, it's very, very difficult to keep an appeal. But yeah, we have Netflix known for, having produced those amazing Oscar buzzworthy gems. Like, they started with Roma, The Irishman, even Marriage Story was pretty good.
Well,
but
here's my
last point.
Okay.
If they spend, 200 million on Red Notice recently, and that has given us pretty much like no interest from the public. I mean, no, it was viewed, but it was ripped apart by critics and by Rotten Tomatoes and stuff. And it is to this day the most expensive film produced. And then we had Irishman being, second closest, which was it was like 150 million. But then we had Oscar winner this year, Coda, which only spent $10 million on their film, putting Netflix completely in their closet, back in the closet. They've started wasting a lot of money because they stuck to their machine essentially, which started failing. You cannot keep producing the same content over and over. You need to start getting original, which, as we discussed earlier with all the silverware films, that's kind of becoming a trend. But yeah, I rest my case. That's the content.
Well, as long as we're talking about the content, they've been trying to establish themselves as Oscar-worthy movies, but they've fallen short a number of times. And I think they lost a lot of money on Don't Look Up, and a huge amount of that budget went to getting Meryl Streep, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jonah Hill, Jennifer Lawrence. By all rights, incredible performers. Adam McKay, a great writer and director, but it didn't perform the way that they wanted it to. And I think a lot of Netflix content can leave a lot to be desired. I know, Dan, that was one of your criticisms, wasn't it?
Dan, you're on mute.
Sorry.
Oh, good.
Okay, here's my point. So I go to Netflix and basically on most cases I spend, unless I'm going with a very specific purpose for like a specific show, for like, hey, Stranger Things is out, and I'll go and watch Stranger Things. But at any other time, which the majority of the time you're going on Netflix, you're like, okay, let's see what's there, gotta fill some time, or like, yeah, gotta end the night, watch something.
Right.
And I just spend too much time trying to look for something to watch rather than actually watching something. And it's the paradox of choice, I think, that's working against them. And that ties into what I was trying to mention earlier was, Mags, you said they need to put out so many things to compete with Disney Plus, but we were talking about, or like, HBO Max or whatever, but we were talking about Moon Knight just a short while ago on the show. And Moon Knight is currently the only premium series that's running on Disney Plus. There's nothing else on that level. So like you see that once a week, and then you come back to the next episode the following Wednesday, right? Like it's every week you get one. Halo on Paramount Plus.
My point was they have to put something as big as Moon Knight every month.
No. So hold on. So this is what I mean, right? So Bridgerton, Squid Game. What was the one about the chess player? I'm forgetting the name of that.
Queen's
Gambit. Stranger Things. Those are all shows that at the height of their, like, even the is Ozark on Netflix or is that Hulu?
Yeah.
Ozark, even Ozark. Like these are a lot of shows that are at the peak, like when they're out, like they're the shits. Like people are talking about it. Squid Game was the biggest show in the world for a little while, right? But the problem with Netflix is that when those shows are on, like they put that show all at once. Like they either drop it in big chunks or they drop it in all at once. So what happens is people binge it, then they talk about it for those couple of days that the show is out, and then after that they forget about the show. So like Moon Knight is dropping episodes for 6 weeks in a row because they got 6 episodes, they're doing 1 a week. Whereas with Netflix, Bridgerton, the whole season, boom, gone. You see it on Friday, by the Monday most people have seen it, all the reviews are out, everybody's talking about it. If you haven't seen it, you might have been spoiled by something, and then you just move on and you're waiting for the next thing. Whereas with the other streaming services, they realize like if you just give it to him 1 episode at a time, maybe 2 episodes premiere, and then you know it keeps it within the culture zeitgeist. And I think that's Netflix's problem. It's not their output or even the quality of output, it's their marketing and distribution strategy that really hurts them. Like that to me is the biggest thing.
I don't know if that's necessarily their marketing's fault. That's more distribution than anything. I do agree it's creating this binge culture that is not healthy whatsoever. But their marketing is actually pretty on point. They have so many different forms of marketing that they do. I mean, Twitter alone, they have at least 10 counts just for Netflix, all, targeting different types of demographics, different types of target audience. And that's not even including all of the accounts they have for each individual show. They're reposting, people's memes, their comments, this and that, just ordinary people to make it kind of like, hey, maybe if we tweet about
approachable.
This.
Well, to talk about the number of accounts, like Twitter marketing is really sketchy these days because companies will create fake accounts and boost with fake comments like, oh, I love this show. I love the part when blah, blah, blah. And it's like written to be clickbait so that people end up like, oh, a lot of people are talking about it. It's Netflix talking about Netflix, or Twitter talking about Twitter, or Pepsi talking about Pepsi, or SNL talking about SNL. It's like where are the real reviews? where are the reviews that aren't favorable? It'd be interesting if they highlighted those every once in a while. But
I mean, but even then it's like with all the viral marketing or kind of thing they do, it just because they have so much stuff coming out, they simply can't give everything the kind of attention and money that, like, for example, a Sony movie would get, because they're like, this is the thing that we're putting out right now. Whereas Netflix is always putting out the thing, but 10 of them, so it's always
well, I guess
maybe dollars.
Maybe that's one of the weak points in their marketing, is that rather than marketing the movie, which for Don't Look Up, that was an Oscar contender. They had to put it out in theaters for that to be the case. There were billboards for it, but the product that they are marketing is Netflix, and the product there is choice of anything you could possibly want, niche content, too many choices, an algorithm that will tell you, we know what you like and we're going to give it to you. And on top of that, this is Netflix is selling Netflix. It's always selling itself, not necessarily the content or a particular thing. And I think that's part of why it's so hard to choose. When you get to that menu, you spend 20, 30 minutes being like, no. And by that point, I'm already into a different app.
And I disagree about the comment about niche content though, Andrew, because that's the thing. You're being recommended things that you can sort of relate to what you've already watched. And we all know people will always go for something familiar. There's very few people that go for something experimental or provocative. So the niche content, I feel like it's being pushed to the back seat, and it's hard for them to promote that kind of content. Yeah.
Well, if we could, I'd like to just sort of pivot to why this is an issue and other problems with the business strategy, because we are losing subscribers. That's what we're seeing there. And it's part of one of the ways that they want to remedy this is by getting rid of people who share accounts across multiple households. And that to me is tone deafness to your audience. It's saying, listen, we need everybody to pay more. And this comes off the heels of, like, they've raised their prices. They're going to raise their price again. And now it's, okay, now you can't share. So we're going to try and get more people paying that same monthly, $15, I think $21 is what's coming up next. And we're getting the same quality for more, for spending more on it. And, to come from all the choices you could possibly want, $8.99, no ads, And then to go and say, you know what, we might actually start introducing ads if you want to pay less. They're going back on everything that they presented as their unique, brand. And that's telling me that maybe this isn't a successful business model. One of the things that as an actor, you have to sort of deal with is that streaming presented new media contracts. New media was this sort of blanket term that they invented when streaming came out, because they said, well, it's not television and there aren't ads, so we can't really say that it works like television. But if you're an actor, new media contracts.
New media concept. Okay.
So if you're an actor and your content runs on, Comedy Central, and there are commercials, you get paid residuals because every time you distract people with your content, they get to see a bunch of ads. The advertisement is what gets you paid, for your work time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
With Netflix, they notoriously had kind of this black box around like how many people were watching their content, and they don't make their money from advertising. They make it from subscriptions. So if you have billions of people spending billions every month, that goes into producing your own content. But of course, you have celebrities who bring their own money to the table to produce their own stuff. As an actor, right now, you put your content out there and you get sort of what's the word? Wow.
You get like an upfront payment. I mean, Netflix doesn't really do profit sharing,
No, but you get an estimated residual, which is we think this many people, but they don't actually give you the real numbers. So we don't know how well anything on Netflix does in terms of the numbers, and that affects the number of people get, how much people get paid. That affects who comes back for a second season. But a lot of this is hype and people just buying into the hype. I think right now we're seeing that they're losing more money than they're making, and they're scrambling to come up with ways to cover their losses.
Right. So also, I agree with you there. I'm sorry, Max, you were going to say something? Max, you were going to say something?
No, go ahead. No, it's all right.
No, I was just going to say it is that exactly. Their business model is something that was always sort of like a ticking clock, if you will, because I'm sure they knew like eventually this growth will slow down. And the whole idea of every time it used to come up, like, hey, Netflix says they'll never have ads. Netflix says, they will always drop shows all at once and stuff. And I'm like, look, Stranger Things, the new season is coming out in 2 parts. They're not dropping it all at once because they know like at least they can somewhat extend. And it's sort of like managing expectation now, because I think if they decided to all of a sudden
I actually had no idea.
They're doing part 1 at one time, and then part 2 is going to come later. Rather than doing every episode all at once. So they're sort of like, I think they're slowly dragging us to the weekly schedule because they don't want to just flip the switch. But also they've been spending like 150% of what they make on content. And that's simply not sustainable, because they've never, I think, throughout those 10 years that they weren't losing subscribers, they've never been in the black. They've always run in the red. And they just constantly kept getting subscribers. They were expanding into new markets and everything. But what happened
and then pandemic happened.
Come again?
Let's not forget about pandemic, because when the pandemic hit, that's when everyone's subscribers kind of went up.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, you look at the numbers, right? Like in 2020, like they finally crossed the 200 million mark, and that's, you could see a large majority of that is international markets. So like it matters that they're expanding, and they do have a lot of regional content now. But the problem I think they still have is they have an unsustainable business model. It's business 101. You can't spend more than you're making. You're never gonna like survive for too long unless somebody keeps pumping money. And right now Wall Street is like starting to realize that hold on, here's the thing. If their only source of revenue is subscriptions, and those subscriptions stop growing, that means they have hit their ceiling, and they can only go down from there. So therefore, the money is going to stop flowing. So you saw they lost billions. I think the number I saw was like 54 billion or something like that. Like they lost that much market value within like a day. The day that they, I think it was Monday or Tuesday that they dropped their Q1 results, where they projected they were gonna get like a growth of 2 something odd million subscribers, and they lost 200,000. And now for Q2 they're predicting they're gonna lose another 2 million. And that to me says, okay, they had to realign their expectations internally, and now they're probably over projecting the loss numbers, because the reason why they lost 200,000 is not because they just lost 200,000. They actually got a lot of new subscribers, hundreds of thousands of new subscribers in different markets, but overall it was a net negative. And I think you're starting that now. Netflix is like, okay, 10 years of living in paradise is over. Now we have to get real and start to really figure out like how we're gonna hedge our bets. So Max, you
what's
mentioned that they're getting into gaming. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, there's that. Well, quickly, I just wanted to say what's interesting about that move is that they're returning, they're going back on their word. Basically, is they're saying, you know what, this business model doesn't work. We promised you a future where this was the future, and now we're going back to past models of monetizing content, and they're going back to weekly schedules, ads, and charging more and getting, you basically going back on the idea that you can share an account, which is how a lot of people watch.
Mag, go ahead, business though. I just got a question to you guys, because you guys, I know you have more streaming services than I do, but like, is that business model similar to anything that's already out there, like Disney Plus or HBO Max?
Everybody lets you share across households. It's the fact that they're suddenly saying that we can't is basically, to me, it signals like, hey, we're running out of money. I know we've been lenient about this before. Could you please also pay if you're in a different house?
And what about ads?
Ads, well, Hulu has ads, an ad tier. You can pay more if you don't want ads. HBO is always advertising their other content before you watch any of their shows. And Disney keeps growing, and they put their stuff out in theaters also, and they almost don't need that. Just becomes the host for Marvel movies once they've already left theaters.
That's their one direct to customer vertical, whereas everything else is sort of like they're studio releasing movies and goes through distribution and theaters, and whereas with Disney Plus they can reach their customers directly. So it's but like you said, they're diversified. Like Disney has parks, like that's a big chunk of their revenue. They have obviously the movie studio. They do a lot of television, like ESPN, ABC. They got like a lot of television IP, and then they have Disney Plus. Like Disney Plus is only a part of the equation. HBO Max is the same. Warner Media, or now Warner Brothers Discovery, they have like 20 different things, and HBO Max is one of those things. And like now we saw earlier this week that CNN Plus, a month into its existence, is going to be shut down, and because the old ownership is what really launched it. The new ownership just took charge a couple of weeks ago, and they're like, yeah, you know what, we don't need CNN Plus. We need to simplify it for everybody. So we're going to roll Discovery Plus and CNN Plus into HBO Max, and that's where they're going. But still, it's one part of their overall business strategy. Disney even has Hulu. Like they have Hulu, Disney Plus, they have ESPN Plus. They've got like they've hedged their bets. Apple and Amazon have money to burn, and it's like it's kind of like if you follow European soccer and you see like one of those Middle Eastern Gulf state princes go and buy a football team, and then all they do is just pump money in, and they don't care about like whether the club is like making a profit. Amazon and Apple are like that. They're like, this is a playground for them because they got so much money to spend. They're doing a good job of strategy, but they're obviously don't have the same concerns as Netflix, whereas Netflix has sort of got the worst of it. They don't have money to burn. They don't have a diversified business model. They're spending way more than they're making. And so I feel like they don't have like a backup plan. And that's probably the biggest thing that's going to hurt them. I pulled up this one graphic earlier. I want to just put it up very quickly and just give me your thoughts on this, because this is a projection of the market share Netflix has over the next few years. And you can see where they are now. By far, I think by themselves, they're almost dwarfing everybody else. But then you can see how that's projected to go down. And I think a lot of it has to do with that business strategy. I mean, what do you guys think about like just those other streaming services taking on a bigger chunk?
Well, it's funny. Apple TV isn't represented on this at all.
No, yeah.
And from what I've seen, their content has been most consistently the highest quality. I know based on Disney's recent controversy, a lot of people are canceling their subscriptions to Disney Plus. I think part of that anger and animus is probably going to affect Netflix. And, I think right now it's up in the air who the leader could be. Netflix has been a leader in streaming, and this could mean that, say that they do start charging people and cracking down on subscription sharing. Maybe that starts being something that every single platform does. Or maybe the one that wins is the one that says, yeah, share. We got the best content. We're going to let you share. Hard to tell at this point.
Yeah. I mean, to kind of put a period on it for now, though, I will say this. They lost 200,000 subscribers. That's like 0.09% of their subscription base. They still have like 3 times almost the subscribers of Disney Plus, their closest competitor. And so they're still in a very advantageous position. I don't think this is like gloom and doom, the place is burning down bad, but it just means that this is a wake-up call, in my opinion at least, that Netflix needs to change the way it does business. Because otherwise, whereas now it's a wake-up call, tomorrow it may be bankruptcy. Like I think they have to change tact.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if this means a return to the traditional model, or some kind of hybrid where you can subscribe to cable channels on TV.
A package. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the nice things about just traditional television was turning it on and discovering something that you weren't expecting to see because it was on. Pluto is really good for that.
Tubi. We're going to talk about a Bruce Willis Tubi movie later.
That sounds good. But yeah, it's we might be ending or exiting the streaming bubble right now.
Yeah. I mean, Peacock has live channels, and that's I love just put it on and just let it run. And it's a streaming service. Sorry, Mag.
Has there been a change in leadership or in management at the Netflix, or is there going to be?
I don't think so. I mean, they've had the same leadership for a while. I don't think that's changing much. I think if the next quarter quarter 2 report comes out and then they continue to slide, especially if their projections come true and they lose 2 million subscribers or anywhere close to it, I think then they're going to start thinking about, okay, you had 3 months to get your shit together and do something about it. And then they'll start to feel the pressure from the investors. But until then, I mean, there's still such a big, like I said, they're still 50% of the market, right? So they're still so big. It's going to take a lot longer for them to truly die out, but or become a secondary player, because right now they're still the David and everybody else. Sorry, they're still the Goliath and everybody else is David in the streaming market. So yeah,
interesting. Well, I think that brings us to the end of that. I know Brian prepared an oh so memorable for Mr. Bob Saget. I think we should take a look at that.
He was the original host of America's Funniest Home Videos.
Welcome to America's Funniest Home Videos. I'm Bob Saget, but hey, enough about me. Kids?
He was the voice of narrator Ted Mosby on How I Met Your Mother.
Are we being punished for something?
No.
Yeah, is this gonna take a while?
Yes. 25 years ago, before I was dad, I had this whole other life.
Full House, now it's Fuller House. One day it's going to be Fullest House.
He was also the stand-up comedian, known for his adult-oriented humor.
I played here before and I had a good time. Got 9 people pregnant, that's why I came back. I just want to make some support payments, and that's the story of How I Met Your Mother.
But for most people, Bob Saget was best known for his role as the widowed father, Danny Tanner, on Full House. For someone who could be seen as one of the most lovable TV fathers, Saget almost didn't get the part of Danny Tanner, on what is widely regarded as one of the most popular sitcoms of the 1980s and 1990s. No, it was John Posey, best known for his long career of recurring roles on various TV series, who played Danny Tanner in the unaired pilot. Scheduling conflicts would prevent Saget from signing on to shoot the pilot in early 1987, but as fate would have it, Saget's schedule later opened up, and the rest is history. Saget played the role of Danny Tanner as the typical example of the uncool and not-so-hip dad on the show.
All right, let's rock and roll!
And of course, that always embarrassed his daughters. Maybe he wasn't as cool as Uncle Jesse, but he was truly the king of dad jokes.
Am I the baddest dad a kid ever had?
You were until you said that.
Danny was usually a control freak. He expressed a mild form of OCD, and boy, did he love to clean.
Each area of responsibility has been personally selected to reflect the strengths and abilities of each and every member of the cleaning crew.
But he was also seen as sweet-natured, as someone who cared deeply about his family, especially his daughters.
I want to look like these models.
Why?
Because they're beautiful.
Well, so are you.
He was kind and genuine.
I know exactly how you feel. And I know how much you girls miss your mother.
And according to the show's creator and executive producer, Jeff Franklin, he was a hugger with a heart of gold. So it's no wonder why Franklin said that he wrote the role of Danny Tanner for his friend, Bob Saget, and even reprised his role as Danny Tanner on the sequel of Full House, Fuller House.
I always need you.
Thanks, Steph. I am so proud of you.
Thanks, Dad. It's because of everything you did for me.
Saget passed away on January 9th in his sleep. He will forever be remembered.
Okay, so this is something that's been on everybody's mind if they saw the Batman and ever saw the Dark Knight. We wanted to take a little bit of time and compare the two of these because there were an astounding number of similarities, but there's also, I think, I don't know, what would you say is the reason we did this, Dan? You're a huge Dark Knight fan.
It's his favorite film.
Yeah, well, it was my idea for the segment. I'm going to take the credit to my detriment, if that, because I went into the Batman when it came out in theaters, and I watched it keeping, as I now realize, my Dark Knight glasses on, because I was expecting the Batman to be, or hoping for it to be, as good, if not better, than the Dark Knight, right? And I was trying to draw parallels and stuff rather than looking at the Batman on its own merits. And I sort of paid the price because I had a relatively bad experience watching the Batman. I think you guys might remember.
Right.
I ragged on the movie quite a bit, but then it dropped on HBO Max this past week, and I watched it again, and without any preconceptions, and I think I had a much better time with it. However, I watched The Dark Knight, and I could tell you I still like The Dark Knight better, but at the same time, I like the Batman for what it is. So that's the reason why I wanted to talk about this. And I guess I'm itching to hear what you guys think about that.
I thought we were doing it because it was like two very realistic versions of Batman and kind of comparing it. Yeah. I guess everybody has their own opinion. It doesn't.
No, I mean, I think it's one versus the other. You can make any comparison you'd like. I think it's taken in whatever direction you guys would like to take it.
Well, has anybody I rewatched some. I didn't rewatch all of the Batman, but I did rewatch some scenes. Did you guys have like a different view on things?
I
mean, did you
left the
rewatch it
Batman.
all?
I rewatched The Dark Knight because I thought I still had a good idea of what the Batman was about, and I think it's what you guys said. I let it marinate in my head.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have a different impression. Sure.
You know,
Andrew?
when I saw the Batman, I hadn't seen The Dark Knight, and when I watched it, I was really the Batman. When I watched that, I thought I just wasn't super compelled by it. And when I did watch The Dark Knight this week, I loved it. I saw it and it was like, this is a movie that really,
I'm sorry.
Chris Nolan really, he honors all of the characters, and we see a Gotham City that isn't a parody of a city. It's like everything is given the gravity and realism of an action movie, and everything about Batman, it's not fantasy, you know. And I don't think you're gonna beat Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman. I really don't think you're gonna beat what's his, oh my gosh, Heath Ledger's Joker, but also Batman. Why am I blanking today?
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. Like,
yeah,
he was incredible. Everything was incredible in that. And I'm not huge into action sequences, but every sequence had a reason and a purpose, and everything that happened was, you know, it was organic and it was grounded in reality. And I didn't feel like I was watching a movie so much. With the Batman, I felt like I was watching a bunch of kids play Batman, and it just didn't have the same effect. I also think, you know, there's some direct shots that feel like they were taken straight out of The Dark Knight. I feel like some of the characterizations were taken out of The Dark Knight, and the voices, and, you know, I think it's impossible not to try to compare them. And I think just the existence of the second one validates how good The Dark Knight really is.
I'm going to just suggest this. This is, I don't know if you guys know about this, but if you've listened to the soundtrack, there's pieces of the soundtrack that are literally pulled from the Dark Knight trilogy. Like there's a part where it's this like metronome kind of music that's picking up, and it's like a beat. And it's basically the same thing as Gotham's Reckoning from The Dark Knight Rises, where Bane is like coming up and like get this taking over the city. And in this movie, they play it around the time where Catwoman and Batman are talking on the rooftop before they go and try to, like in the third act, before like she goes to try to kill Falcone. Spoiler alert. But so there's a lot of influences, and I think a lot of the plot points are sort of follow this
Just
similar.
Speaking of music, I strongly recommend you guys going to see Hans Zimmer live if you haven't so far. The way like The Dark Knight being played live is just, it's still to this day one of my most incredible experiences. So definitely make sure to get tickets for Hans Zimmer live. But
Roland.
I'm so like
go ahead,
really quickly, it's Andrew, can you like sort of understand me and Dan feeling disappointed after we watched? And no, Roland, actually you liked it, but like, do you remember we were so disappointed because we were expecting something better than Dark Knight? So
I mean, I was looking at that and I was just, it was sort of a step backwards, because we went from, you know, Michael Keaton Batman and George Clooney, which was sort of an updated Adam West Batman, which is cartoony and light and campy, to super realistic, grounded in reality Dark Knight trilogy. It felt like we went back into a genre type film, but again, it was self-serious as opposed to grounded. And that's the distinction I draw between the two. And I think if you were gonna do something stylistic, if you were gonna really make a statement and reinvent Batman, I would have preferred to see you go balls to the wall with something brand new. Also interesting that none of this discussion includes the Ben Affleck Batman. Just to put that out there.
he just kind of like came and went in the middle there. Yeah.
And Roland, what about you? You watched the Batman, right? Because I honestly cannot remember.
First of all, I like Ben Affleck Batman. I'm not going to get into it. I've been
okay. I love it too.
No judgment.
Warner Brothers was garbage. Anyways, what are we talking about? Yes, Batman, Dark Knight. So when I watched the Batman, I liked it. There was too many confusing things to me, like too many themes that were going in and out way too long. I had some problems with it. And then I watched The Dark Knight, the masterpiece, and it was ruined for me because of college humor. If anybody remembers The Batman, where Pete Holmes plays Batman, but that's all I could think about every time Christian Bale talked as Batman, and it ruined it. It's a great movie. Heath Ledger was frightening. He was calculating. Every time Christian Bale came up, I could only see Pete Holmes.
I mean, that's
bad.
But I feel like I blame you for that. That's not the Batman's fault, because if you remember watching Batman Begins even, and he's like, "Swear to me," I'm like, it works for me. I mean, the voice. But here's the thing: Christopher Nolan has kind of taken a lot of criticism over the years with how he mixes audio in his movies, and dialogue is like often hard to hear. With like even the Bane thing, he's like, I don't care if it's harder to hear, but I want to realistically portray how Bane would sound if he was wearing that in real life. And sometimes people are like, it's to the detriment of you being able to understand what's happening in the movie.
Sometimes the dialogue doesn't inform what's happening though. Sometimes it's really just like, maybe sometimes garbled dialogue is more the point than the dialogue itself.
It makes it a little more imperfect and therefore a little more realistic. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like people miss that. Like a lot of times they're like, we need to understand every single word that's being said. I'm like, sometimes you don't. Like the filmmaker does this on purpose. They're like, you're meant to just get the gist of it, and that's enough for you to understand what's happening. You know, that's kind of like what we talked about in Coda. I mean, that's one of those movies where you actually have to pay attention, because you can't just put it on in the background and expect to know the story as it plays out, because a lot of it is signed in the movie. So, but at the same time, there's parts of the movie where you're just like, I get it. I don't have to understand exactly what they're saying. Like if you turn the subtitles off, you can still understand what's going on. And with Christopher Nolan movies, I feel like sometimes that's the case. He's great at showing and not telling. And I think in the Batman,
as a good filmmaker should, you know. I think when we did watch Koi Milgia, I watched it without subtitles, and I got a real sense because the action was so clear and the shots were very clear in their communication of what was going on. That's maybe the problem with a noir Batman, where it's like everything's dark and most of these are style shots. One of the other things that I really liked about The Dark Knight, in grounding it in realism, the Batmobile makes so much more sense as an armored car. It's like everything about it is just
the scooter, right?
Everything.
How cool was that?
Versus
that was one of my favorite things when they
every other Batman, every other Batmobile is like, it's either like a really nice souped up, you know, latest model of something you can drive and it's a car advertisement, or it's a big cartoony, you know, thing with wings and like, but like we see that and it's like, yeah, he's gonna ram through stuff in that, and it's got to be bulletproof. Watch
the trilogy. You should.
I'm gonna have to now.
It's called the Tumbler.
The car Tumbler.
Yeah.
I will say The Dark Knight Christopher Nolan did such a great job of making it realistic. I mean, Gotham itself felt like it was in Charlotte, which is the closest city towards me. It felt like a very real place.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, and guys might think I'm wrong for it, but I think it kind of takes away the character from Batman. Like it seems too real, but with the Batman, it was a very stylized, you know, the villains seemed to be kind of in on the joke. It was dark and gritty, and I liked the emo Bruce. It was, you know, if we're thinking down to it, we're still rooting for a guy who's dressed like a bat jumping across.
Exactly.
We have to have a little bit of self-aware craziness.
Well, I think the realism of The Dark Knight is what made it the great movie that it was. It's, we could take Batman seriously. And for those years we did. Like that voice, even the shots, everything is so everything feels like it could be happening in the city right across the for me, the valley. It's we are dragged into such parody in other Batmans, and even the way that the geography makes sense. You get a sense of how the city's put together in The Dark Knight. In everything else, Gotham feels like a green screen, or it feels like a board game.
They did a lot of
something.
stagecraft and stuff in this, where they were just like LEDs with ILM, and they did a lot of the exteriors rather than on location in a studio.
But going back to also what Roland said, so do you reckon it's exactly that we kind of figured out why The Dark Knight works? Because Nolan decided to spend, Dan, do you always have to go like close up onto me? Can we go back to 4 boxes? Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Sorry.
Because he did focus on the details. He essentially took away from like Christian Bale, the Batman was not the center of the attention. We had Harvey Dent, we had the Joker, we had Alfred, we had Morgan Freeman. We had so many little stories that there was enough happening for us to take essentially
I forgot my favorite part.
Take our attention of Batman. But yeah, what's your favorite part?
Sonar. The sonar with the cell phone signals. Like, first of all, one of my big problems with Batman is like, why does it matter? Why do bats matter at all? Because the original Batman was blind and was like supposed to be like a bat. And there's never like for just about this is why I can't, like, I know why Spider-Man is Spider-Man. He was bitten by a spider. He acts like a spider. He crawls around. Batman could be wearing anything, and there's really no reason for him to be a bat. But with this,
he was afraid of bats.
Who cares? That's like, I'm afraid of clowns. Does that make me Clown Man? No. But it's like when you could use sonar and suddenly he's operating like a bat, and it was also such clever science fiction that they explain the concept. It is fiction. It couldn't really happen that way, but with somebody with Bruce Wayne's resources and the intelligence that would go into constructing something like that, put that all together with the fact that it's hearkening back to the idea of a bat and how a bat would find trouble or escape it.
Yeah,
I thought that was brilliant.
That's Jonathan Nolan and Chris Nolan at its best. They just both incredible. I don't know if you've seen Westworld. I don't know if you think about it, but that's like the essentially attention to details when it comes to storytelling. I think they really are masters of their craft.
Sure.
Yeah. No, those guys. That's the biggest part. That's the biggest thing about this movie the Batman that bothered me, right? Because the Batman as a movie is one where, whether it's like, so it takes creative liberties with a lot of stuff. Like realism, the car is probably the most realistic Batmobile we've had since the 60s. Like it looks like a car that you could drive on the road. Whereas a Tumbler, even, they could drive it. It was actually drivable, but it wasn't quite the same as, what you saw in the Batman. It's like a muscle car. But but like the script, like the way the story was told, I felt like some of that was lacking. Like with the Dark Knight, like you could tell, like there's the bat sonar, like they had such a finesse, like they had such apt like command of the script and of the story. And then, like you said, Mags, it's in the Dark Knight, Batman is more than just one person trying to take down, like, trying to solve the issue of crime in Gotham City. He's part of a bigger system. He's part of a city. And you can, like, in the Batman, they keep saying, sorry?
Yeah. the spotlight's off him.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
weirdly, yeah.
Whereas in the Batman, they keep saying, yeah, in the Batman you can argue, sure, you can make an argument that that Gotham City is a character in the movie. However, it's a character in as much as like production design as anything else. It's not really, when you go beyond production design and the fact that Batman, it's like a physical obstacle for Batman in many cases. It's not a character anywhere beyond that. Whereas in the Dark Knight, like the city is a character, not because it's just the buildings and the people. Like you see as like the guys in the, leading up to the sequence where you have the cop who's got one of his loved ones in the hospital, and you could see like Gordon gets a message saying, hey, watch out for like cop, whatever the name of the cop is.
But here's a counter argument that can actually explain. So we forget that The Dark Knight is part of a trilogy. We had the first film to establish things that the Batman only had, 90 minutes, 120 minutes to sort of establish. Yeah. We did get to know the Batman, Chris Bale, in the first one. That's why we didn't need to spend awful amount of time on that. Whereas here, perhaps that's something to consider in a favor of the Batman.
Yeah, I could see that, because it's sort of unfair to compare the second movie in a trilogy to the first. I mean, but hey, look, when the producer of the movie says we're trying to beat the Dark Knight, even if they say it in jest.
Did he say that?
Yeah, Dylan Clark, who's like the producing partner for Matt Reeves on the movie, and he's like produced a lot of Matt Reeves movies. He said we're trying to, like, I don't know if he said it in jest, but he mentioned as much as like, hey, we're trying to outdo the Dark Knight. And it was a rallying cry for them, if not anything else. But and I'll be honest, I think on its own merits, the Batman is a great movie. It is a great movie. It's very methodically paced, and I think if you go into it and not expecting anything else but what it gives you, it's a good film, and it's something you can. The 3 hours go by pretty quickly. I've watched it twice, and I've never felt like it was too long, or it was
I disagree
at any point.
Me too.
Really?
I would like if there's going to be more the Batmans, I think I'd like them to go further, lean harder into their style, and establish its own voice. I'm not writing it off. I think that they could turn it into something really good. But comparing these two, which you can't help but do, especially when they put it in there that they're going to try and beat it.
Andrew, like, what do you mean by the style? Because they meant to be dark, but didn't you think? I still think the Dark Knight was darker.
Well, I mean, visually dark.
Thematically, I think the Batman is darker visually. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I think the actual voice and the tone of the Batman wasn't as clear as the tone of the Dark Knight. Dark Knight lets you know right from the beginning, this is real life, and these are real people. I don't know exactly what I was watching in the Batman. It just felt like, yeah, we know Batman. We're gonna treat this. He's younger in this one. He goes to clubs. There's Catwoman. There was a lot less cohesion in the Batman, I feel, and with a grittier Riddler, with Paul Dano playing him, which again, I want to give him a fair shot at really going full Riddler, but we could have seen, if you were going to take the step back into stylized, less realistic Batman, give us some wacky costumes, give us a little bit of character quirks, show us how this is going to be different than the Dark Knight. Don't try to recreate it.
It was the Edward Cullen we never got. The darker one.
Hey, by the way, guys.
Sorry.
All right, this shot reminds me of something, right? Like this shot, I don't think we see this shot in the movie in The Dark Knight. But let's talk about the Joker for a second. The two principal antagonists of each movie. Heath Ledger's Joker is iconic. Like, we know this. And there's a scene in the new movie, The Batman, where Riddler's sitting in the backseat and he's basically like, he catches the DA and he tapes him up and all that stuff. how did you feel about the performances of like the two antagonists in this movie? Like, what did you think about those guys?
Well,
yeah.
Originally I just enjoyed Paul Dano, but then having watched The Dark Knight, I was like, some of this is taken from the Heath Ledger performance. Some of this
interrogation,
like the live stream.
Yeah, and I think if we're, I don't know, sometimes crazy just feels like a flavor that everybody knows, and I like to see nuance in insanity, and Heath Ledger gave us something new and different. I felt like we were getting a little bit of rehash with the performance. I'd like to see more into the soft-spoken side of Riddler. That was what was compelling about him, is this, like, you know, they kind of brand him as like an incel on one of those chat forums. He's just like upset with everything, and you know, his theories are quietly typed to his followers as opposed to boldly projected and on a terrorist tape, which is what we get with Heath Ledger.
But
can I ask you guys something just really quickly? So Dan, because I will never get a chance like this, what is the the Dark Knight's Joker's actual story with the scars? Because he gives us multiple versions of the story, how he got the scars. What is the actual deal with that?
Well, there isn't one. I don't think there is one.
To himself, so it's never answered in any shape or form.
I mean, didn't they do like a book version of it that Christopher Nolan approved, or am I crazy for thinking that?
I don't think so.
Are you crazy?
It's
insanity speaking to you.
I do know that they released some information about the Joker and said that in The Dark Knight Rises he just stays in Arkham the entire time, because they were going to include Heath Ledger, but of course due to circumstances they couldn't. But I don't think they ever really reveal it. I always just kind of assume that it's him doing it to himself and then coming up with an explanation, possibly not knowing, but also to kind of keep that suspense about himself.
Right.
Because, I mean, at the very first scene, you know, he's put this crew together, but they don't know what the Joker looks like.
Brilliant.
So another way of showing like he's never going to show his true self.
And I have to say, like, that's the part where the Joker trumps every other card as far as comic book movie villains go. Even if Marvel fans will say Thanos, I'm like, look,
you can't
there's
beat
no
this writing.
villain that is as layered, if not more layered, than the lead protagonist or superhero of any comic book based movie ever. Because Heath Ledger's character is his actions are the antithesis of what he preaches in every part of the movie, and the brilliance behind, like, he is always the smartest guy in the room, and yet he will convince you otherwise no matter what you say, and he's very good at like convincing, and that to me is the conceit of a great villain. Go ahead.
Didn't he lock himself in the room, Dan, also to like prep for this role, or was that just
the method acting? Yeah, I mean, he did. It's kind of controversial, the whole concept of method acting in general, like whether it's actually real, it's working. There's people who have said, like, you know, method acting it's sort of an excuse for people to get away with whatever they want to get away with. But I mean, I don't remember hearing any stories necessarily about Heath Ledger taking advantage of it's more recently you hear that about like Jared Leto. He method acted his way through Morbius apparently, and people were like,
and the Joker, did he not?
Yeah, apparently, yeah. He sent like some very bad like presents to cast members in the mail, and it was just some nasty stuff, and he was just like, hey, I'm the Joker, you know, like this gift is not from Jared, it's from the Joker.
Everything from the Dark Knight, which I think it's like one of the undisputed best superhero movies that we've seen in the last couple of decades. It's because it doesn't try to be a superhero movie, but it's the gold standard, and you can't help but see its influence in every single iteration of Batman since. It's gritty, but some people take the grittiness and make it too dark. and some people see the realism and make it, you know, a little too real. That's where I think they went too far with the Riddler, you know. But this is, I'll say it again, it's the gold standard for movies, and I think it's what other I think it's what other superhero movies have tried to be and have come up short.
I'm so glad you agree, Andrew. Like, you know,
you're right to love this movie.
I'm so happy because I was like, if Andrew comes into this and says like, I don't know what all the hubbub is about the Dark Knight,
No.
I'll be like,
no. And you know what? I avoided it for a long time because I was like, okay, it's clearly overhyped. I'm glad I waited this long to see it because I was totally sucked in by the opening sequence with the Joker and all of his henchmen. I was like, this is, it was fine. It wasn't spoon feeding you everything. It was keeping me guessing. It was compelling. It was weird. It was like, I was in suspense from, it was great. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, it's still to this day, I think one of if not the best opening sequence to not just a superhero movie, but one of the best to any movie anywhere of all time. It's literally, I would put it up there with, you give me an example and I'll say yes, it's better than Citizen Kane starting sequence, or better than the Goodfellas long shot, or like whatever you want to, you know, put up against it. I would say it's up there.
And people try to recreate it. I cannot think of films, but I'm like, every single time I see something familiar, I'm like, oh, that's the Dark Knight ripoff. They've done it. You can't beat it. Yeah, they were first to open the film like that, I think.
My bottom line on this is, if Christopher Nolan does do the Ace Ventura movie, I am so there. I would love to see it.
Let's start a petition.
Totally on the same page as Jim Carrey here. Yeah, that would absolutely need to happen.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty much it for that. Let's move on to sports with Dan and Brian.
I love how quick these things are, and I'm not fast enough to like keep up with.
Should I stall longer? Here we go. Just interrupt me. Just a nice close-up shot of old Andrew Frankel. By the way, while you're here, be sure to like and subscribe and comment and do all the other things. We're so curious.
I'm ready to go. You can just throw.
And now here's sports with Dan and Brian.
It's time for sports with Dan and Brian.
So 49ers star receiver Deebo Samuel wants out of San Fran. But the real question is, who's going to be traded first? Is it going to be Deebo Samuel or quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo?
I don't know, Daniel, but as a diehard Miami Dolphins fan, I think we already blew our load on Tyreek Hill.
That's what cheaters do to Lions.
Daniel, the Jazz are currently down 2-1 in their series against the Doncic-less Mavs, and now they're mad at a Knicks exec for being courtside at their games.
Look, I don't know who's more delusional, the Jazz thinking that they're actually a title contender, or the Knicks thinking they'll actually land a young star.
It's a shame.
First, it was the Premier Golf League, and now several players are being courted by multi-million-dollar contract offers to play in the Saudi-backed Super League. What is Phil Mickelson doing?
Listen, the PGA Tour already warned its golfers that there's no coming back if they were to join this Super League. But hey, money talks, right?
Show me the money.
Only a couple weeks into the new season, and Yankees fans are already so disillusioned that they're starting to throw things at opposing players.
What can I say? They're Yankees fans. Is water wet?
What a way to end a day. Wow, well, I feel informed.
All right, we're back.
Okay, so this is that part of the show where we start talking about what other stuff is coming out. And we got Liam Neeson's Memory, Corrective Measures, and Fortress. These are two of Bruce Willis's probably last films coming out. I don't know. Are we excited? Are we interested? I don't know anything about Memory. So if you have any thoughts here, please let me know.
It's giving me Taken vibes, no?
Yeah,
Liam
that's what I thought
Neeson
was.
should stop making those films.
Yeah.
What is Memory?
The summary is very long. So here it is. When Alex, an expert assassin, refuses to complete a job for a dangerous criminal organization, he becomes a target. FBI agents and Mexican intelligence are brought in to investigate the trail of bodies, leading them closer to Alex. With that crime syndicate and FBI in hot pursuit, Alex has the skills to stay ahead, except for one thing. He is struggling with severe memory loss. That's not funny.
Oh,
Sorry.
gosh.
Every move. Alex must question his every action and whom he can ultimately trust. So, yeah.
It's going to be like a new Memento.
Memento meets Taken meets.
You know what's
John
funny?
Wick.
Guy Pearce is actually in this movie.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It's got a good cast. And guys, this Memory is directed by Martin Campbell, and he directed a certain greatest James Bond movie of all time called Casino Royale. So,
yeah.
Skyfall.
And Green Lantern.
Okay, I guess
the
he's
best James Bond.
Those are like two such opposite ends of the spectrum.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's got Monica Bellucci in it and Guy Pearce. It's a better cast than what most Liam Neeson movies have. So I have to say it excites me. I mean, and it's the only movie I think out of the three that are on in theaters, because I feel like Fortress, Sniper's Eye, which is there's two Bruce Willis movies, and possibly the last of his career. Corrective Measures is on Tubi, so that's like we talked about Tubi. It's like a free streaming service, so I guess you can watch it there. It's got a couple of recognizable faces in there. There's Michael Rooker from the Suicide Squad, and probably more likely you know him from the Guardians of the Galaxy as Yondu. And then Fortress Sniper's Eye has got Bruce Willis, obviously, but then Chad Michael Murray. That's the guy in the poster right there. Yeah, I'm sure if you've seen some Lifetime movies, he used to do a lot of those. I don't know who Jesse McCaff is, but yeah. It's okay. So I walked myself into this trap earlier. I'm not gonna do it again. But like, we have Liam Neeson's movie that's all about, a man who struggles with his memory, and then you have Bruce Willis, who this could be the last two movies of his career, and he's retired because of his aphasia diagnosis, which is all about basically memory loss and struggling with that. So it's like I don't know. Is it a coincidence? What would you call this? Like, it's a unfortunate coincidence. It's sort of hard to, I don't know, like it kind of limits maybe memory's marketing potential. I'm not, I don't know.
You know what, Dan, you brought this up. We'll let you you wanted to lump them together? Here you are.
Well, it's not me. I mean, the movies are coming out on the same week. It's I didn't.
Let's cut to a tight shot on Dan, please. Let's
cut to tight shot on Dan.
Tight shot on Dan. This is the benefit of actually being on the controls, that you can't ever surprise me. But yeah.
So what were you saying about it?
You know what I was saying about it was that these movies, that they may be about memory, but I tell you what they're not about.
What's real?
Oh my!
It's family.
That was the thing that you did.
He did that.
That's the thing that I did.
Again.
That's my escape clause. That's how I get that. So now we're pretending that nothing that happened before has happened, and change of topic. What else are we talking about next week?
Next week? I'd like to follow up more on.
It's like I forgot what happened before that Toretto clip, So what are we talking about next week?
It's like the Men in Black eraser.
Yeah. It's like it wiped my memory. It's
I bet Will Smith would like one now.
Really?
Ooh.
Sorry.
Oh,
I couldn't resist. I did see that meme somewhere
on display.
Savage. Yeah. There it is again. Guys.
Well, I think I'd like to see what else falls out from all this Netflix stuff, CNN Plus, Disney Plus. I think we should be keeping track of all the developments in the streaming world. I'm still interested in Elon Musk and the Twitter stuff, but who knows? What do you people think we should cover next week? What other things are happening? What's exciting to you? Let us know in the comments and tell all your friends about Oh So Curious. We are always curious to know what you people think.
Yeah. And we're on social, guys. Today we're streaming on Facebook, Instagram no, because I don't think Instagram does live. But we're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. You can go to our website, check out our podcast, and we take all the parts of the show. And if you haven't had the chance to watch the full thing, or you don't care to sit around for 2 hours, even if you don't want to listen to the podcast, you can watch the show in chunks, and we will drop all the pieces throughout the week. So be sure to follow our YouTube channel, and you can see all of those elements there. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it. Looking forward to next week. Yeah, memory. Sorry, I'm not gonna do it.
Don't do it.
Never mind.
Don't do it. You know what, guys? I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Good show. I think we had a good show.
It was nice.
Yeah. We will see you next week, people watching.
Stay curious.
Goodbye.
Stay curious.